Hello, everyone. Welcome to the old MCU crew. The song started playing. Jesus Christ, that scared me. You guys didn't hear anything. But
Nope. Nothing. Nope.
Winamp,
we never hear the song.
Well, what happened was Winamp was set to random instead of end. So when the song ended, it just went to another song.
What did it play?
It played Bad Computer Riddle. If you want to know that, it played this, Jesse Cox. It made this.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa! Okay. I love that.
That's why I was so scared for a second, because it just came out of nowhere. Yeah, came out of nowhere. Came out of nowhere. Anyways, hello, hi. Jesse Cox informed us before the show that he is caffeinated out of his mind, out of his gourd.
He's tripping, guys. He's freaking tripping.
Yeah, he's tripping.
They put a little
right
too
now.
much caffeine in my drink, and here's the thing: I'm soaring.
Is that how the kids?
Did you say I'm sorry, or did you say I'm soaring?
I'm soaring, Jerry. I'm soaring.
He's soaring. Yeah.
Oh, soaring. I
it's
thought he said I'm Sora.
So,
I was like,
Bronze.
not Kingdom Hearts.
My name
not
is Sora.
again.
In
My
the
name
90s,
is Sora,
Bronze.
aka Roxas. And I
Oh, we're going Kingdom Hearts
No!
with it. Okay.
Keyblade of
Not
Kingdom Hearts.
Am I Donald
Jesse?
then? If you're Sora, am I Donald?
No, Bronze is Donald. You are 100% goofy. Get
Fuck,
out of town.
man.
Goofy.
Oh, yeah. I
Really?
have big
Lord?
Donald energy.
Yeah,
I'd rather.
Bronze is Donald.
Can I be Aqua instead of Goofy?
Sure. I don't know who Aqua is, but yeah.
She's
sure.
the coolest character in
Aqua.
Kingdom Hearts. Yeah.
No, I don't believe that.
I have full cosplay. Just Jesse Cox. Google itmeJP Aqua cosplay.
No, I'm all right. I'm fine.
You'll see it. It's me.
No, I'm good.
It's me.
No, I'm fine. No, I'm not gonna.
I
I'm not
think
gonna do that.
Let's see if that works. Does that work?
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Yes, it does. I'm the first image there. That's Jesus. I don't even want to look at that.
No, it's just me, you, and Bronze in a sailor outfit with no pants. That's what it is.
Oh, because she's Donald.
Because Donald Duck.
You signed up for this, Bronze. That's
You signed up for it. You said I'm Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Now you're Donald Duck in it.
You're Donald Duck in it. Yeah.
You know what?
Good news.
Time for me to
You
finally
can cast
blow up
Flare,
on
which is
Twitch.
pretty impressive.
He's comfortable.
So
yeah.
Finally for me to.
You're the most powerful
my
wizard
time.
in the
I'm
world.
going to be the bottomless wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is my Joker moment.
Very strong. Very strong. I don't know what the
That's
fuck
a
we're
cut
talking
to what
about.
we were talking about before the stream.
Yes.
That's going to be my new phrase now. This is my Joker moment.
There you go.
This is my Joker moment.
That works. Fantastic. Guys, there's no news right now. It's another slow week in the news world. Rumors, as always, nothing very interesting. Echo is finished filming, so that's a thing. They're done with that show. I don't know what they filmed, because I don't know what that show is. But hey, they're done. So that's coming up. In what, a year? Are we a year out from Echo?
What? Is that true? They filmed it and they're like, see you in 2023. Crazy.
Yeah, that's 2023.
Post on that
They're
show
done.
must be,
Yeah, joining Cox
Unless
and
they just
Echo
sit on
are
stuff.
Vincent D'Onofrio, Charlie Cox, Zan McLaren as William Lopez, Devery Jacobs as Julie. Graham Greene, Chasky Spencer, Tontu Cardinal, and Cody Lightning. That's not his real name. Have also been cast in the series in currently unknown roles. Who the fuck is Cody Lightning? I have to figure this out now. Is he like a wrestler?
Lightning sounds like a native last name.
He is a Cree actor, Cree, from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
And that, I assume, is his last name.
Yeah, he is the son
Yeah.
of Georgina
That was
Lightning
my first thought when I heard it. Yeah.
and brother
They
of
always-
William Lightning and Crystal Lightning.
Yeah. I always think like every time I hear like a really badass last name, I'm like, they must be native.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every time I hear like Thundercaller or my favorite, one of my friends served in the army with someone whose last name was White Killer. And I was like, how do you, I want to know how you get that last name.
I mean, if it's anything like the last name Smith or Baker, I imagine it has something to do with
Right,
the family
Jesse?
profession.
I'm like, yo, what a fucking badass last name.
Pretty
You
good
know what I
last name.
mean?
Jesus.
When you get the last name White Killer. And
My
here's
last
the
name's
best
Cox,
part.
so like
That's true.
Her like station was specialist. I forget what the rank. I'm so
Specialist
sorry.
White
to the
Killer.
veterans of the
Get the
tribe.
fuck
But
out.
her name was on her name tape. It said Specialist White Killer. I
Man.
was like, yo, that's so
wild.
Specialist
cool.
White Killer
I wish I
100%
was
fought.
Specialist White Killer.
That's wild.
Specialist White Killer is in one of the Metal Gear Solid games, like for sure, 100%.
I agree. I think that's
That dude
correct. Yeah.
fought
Yeah.
Snake for sure.
Yeah. In
God
one
damn
of
it.
those.
Hideo Kojima really do just be naming people like that.
Yeah. Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
He really do.
He knew your friend though.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
That's who
he didn't make it
inspired
up. He was inspired. Yeah.
And he said Snake Eater.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
Snake gonna be eaten just like White Killer, Snake Eater.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was
It's true.
him and Die Hard Man. I can't believe that's a character.
Die Hard Man. That's a real.
I can't believe you named a guy Die Hard Man.
That's not even an
Get
old
out of
reference.
here,
That was in
Kojima.
his last game. It was the most
He does not
recent
learn.
good game.
Die Hardman was that guy's name.
Yeah.
Dead Man? Doesn't
Yeah.
he have somebody named Dead Man?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I love about that though? It's almost like we deserve it because of all of the people here that will name themselves some Japanese name because they think it's like cool or exotic and they don't even know what it means, you know?
I mean, you're talking
I
to
see that
Sora
all
here
the time.
on the
Yeah.
on my
Yeah.
Sora,
on
yeah.
my right.
Jesse.
Yeah, we got Sora over there.
Like we'll like name very mundane things
That's not
like
Sora.
foreign names and then there when you translate them it doesn't like Nur
Bronze,
just
you're
means light,
calling out
so-
how I make every D&D character I've ever made by just looking up.
But then you can't be mad when a Japanese speaker says Die Hard Man. I bet you.
Oh, I'm not mad. I love it. I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I think
Huge
it's great.
fan.
Yeah.
You
I
can't-
looked
you
up 'cause
can't-
I love Persona 5's music. It's
Yes.
like my favorite music ever.
It's also a great game.
But the lyrics are almost nonsensical.
Oh, they don't make any
And
sense. Yeah.
when I was looking into it, they said that they did the lyrics in English because they didn't want players to be too distracted by it or get tired of it because it plays constantly throughout the game. So they just chose English. And so the lyrics are just kind of there.
Yeah.
And for them, it's just background noise. And you know what? My thought, I was like, work, we deserve this.
Yeah.
Like, no,
This
English
is-
speakers be doing this shit all the time. Like, where we're like,
This is
oh,
one
it's
of my
just
most
nice.
used buttons, Bronze. Oh, it's muted. Hold on. Now that was a bad setup. I think you guys are hearing it, but chat can't
Yeah,
hear
we
it.
don't have the.
There you go.
Best soundtrack
You
of
don't
all
have-
time.
great.
In
In my head, I do. That's when I'm lying in bed asleep and my eyes jolt open. That's the song that plays.
Every song in that game is a banger.
Oh, they're
Anyway.
great. Yeah. I think I want to say I ordered a vinyl for Persona 5 and it just has not shipped yet.
That sounds like every video game anything ever.
Yeah.
Where it's
I was
like
gonna say,
pre-order
I
now,
feel like
you'll get it
it's
in
a whole
2025.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got my Death Stranding figure, but I pre-ordered it so long ago that I definitely like when it arrived, I was like, I didn't realize it was literally
That's-
like a year later.
That also happens with statues with me. Like I had a statue show
Yeah.
up last week. I've got another one that just shipped out today. Don't remember ordering it.
Yeah.
I,
It'll be
I've
such
got
a
a-
long time.
I've got a 27-inch statue height-wise coming my way this week. I don't know where the fuck it's going to go.
the Aloy statue that I got when Horizon Zero
Dropped?
Dawn released arrived after Forbidden West came out. That's just, I mean, like, that's crazy to me.
That's how it goes.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes.
It's a really cute figure though. I love the Nendoroids because they're like super chibi and baby looking.
Oh, you got like the
Nendoroid's
Nendoroid
all right.
version of.
I got the Nendoroid version
Amazing. Isn't that
of
BB?
Sam Bridges. And it has
Oh.
BB. And The reason I
just
got
have
it
a
is because I
BB.
already
Oh
have
wait, I have two
Solid
BBs over
Snake.
there.
Because
I
like I
love
have the
BB.
chibi Solid Snake
Yeah,
that's like he's like super serious, but he like looks like a baby.
yeah,
And then I of course needed the Sam Bridges one. So
as you
now I
do.
have
Of
like all the
course.
Kojima Nendoroids that are like all super cutesy and they're all like next to each other.
Yeah,
I forgot the main
Pretty
character's
great.
name was Sam Bridges, and he works for Bridges, and he builds bridges.
yeah.
Listen, it's really deep, Jesse. It's not that deep.
No, look,
Keep
I
going.
completely agree
Did you finish that
that
game,
if you
Jesse?
actually look at what Kojima made for Death Stranding, it is an incredibly deep game and a critique of online internet culture and society.
Yes!
And like, it is brilliant. But with that said, this is the man that also makes games where like a dude summons a fire whale to attack you at
Yeah.
a hospital. Like fuck it. Like Kojima's a crazy person.
Yeah.
Here for it.
He
Completely here
is.
for it.
I
Do not care.
I think some of his stuff is super deep. Other stuff is just shit he likes or a movie that he likes and people
Like
read
Die
into it
Hardman.
like way too far. Yeah. But the cool thing that I've always like loved his people acted like he was unhinged when he talked about Death Stranding at E3 because he was talking about sticks and ropes and how the stick was the first tool that man ever made and it's only used to push you away from other people. But he was more interested in like ropes and strands because that was like the second tool man ever made and it brings you closer to people.
Sure.
And people were sitting here like, he's crazy. Oh my God. Kojima's like insane. What does that even mean? I was like, oh my God, y'all can't be this fucking stupid. Like he wants to
It
make a
means what
game
it
that's not
means.
centered on like competing with other people in a world where like every single game is like a competitive shooter, but a world where you're collaborating to bring the world closer together. And
Yeah.
I will say that was the most magic part of Death Stranding is like starting progress on a highway or a bridge,
That
coming
was the
back an
fun
hour
part, yeah.
later and seeing other people and like going from this harsh you know, climate or I guess like environment that's difficult to traverse and finding like a rope or a bridge left behind by someone else to make it easier for you. That's beautiful commentary on life. Like just because you struggle doesn't mean everyone else after you has to struggle. You can leave them a
Yeah.
little rope or a little ladder
He
or a
was
little bridge to
Kojima
make
was
the
just
it
trying to
zipline
get
heroes.
Biden.
easier.
He was just trying to get Biden to forgive those loans. You know, that was the message
That's
all
what
It
this
was
was
along.
about.
it
Yeah.
is such a beautiful commentary, and when that was the first time I was like, I think I'm at odds with the internet because when people were like, "It's a UPS simulator," I was like, I don't think
Both
I
things can be
jive with
true. It is
gamers
a UPS.
anymore.
I mean, I think I agree with both. I think it's a
It's
brilliant
both.
game,
Yeah.
but I have the hardest time recommending it to people because I know most people would hate what you
Yeah,
do.
that's
Like what you're
true.
doing
That's
is
true.
pretty the same thing. But I will say, I mean, like the villain is literally a dude who spent all of his time alone and cut off himself from the rest of society and turned out to be a piece of shit.
True.
Like that
Yes.
is a commentary if I've ever seen one about like staying at
Yeah.
home and like not making like the
Then he
whole
went on
game
to
is a
make
commentary.
some NFTs as well. I mean, he was a true villain. He was just an
Yeah,
absolute villain.
proper villain. Yeah. I don't know. It's a
Meanwhile,
fantastic game.
they
It's
kinda
brilliant,
show
but
you
it's
like
also
what
repetitive.
Sam could be, right? Because
Absolutely.
they're
They're
kind
the
of
same person.
yeah, because he starts out being like, "I'm not really into people," and then you see how he grows through connection while this other person regresses by cutting themselves off from everyone.
Again, the whole game is literally about social media and like you give likes to people building shit. Like it is everything about it is a commentary, but it's also hard to be like, you got to play this thing because after 60 hours of delivering packages, it's really going to hit home. It's like tough to do. It's really tough to
Mhm.
do,
I guess
but
it
it's
hit
brilliant.
home. Yeah. He's got a new podcast, by the way. It's sponsored by
Kojima?
Spotify. Yeah.
Yeah.
Comes out on September 8th. It was announced at Gamescom. It was a really fucking
If
weird
it is-
announcement.
If it is anything like David Lynch's Twitter account, I don't know if you follow that shit. It
That's
is
wild, yeah.
incredible.
It's the most mundane, boring shit, though, that he tweets.
But it
that's
is like-
David Lynch in a nutshell.
The fact that he, for people for a month, were like, why does he keep drawing 7 from his jar of balls? Why does he keep picking the number 7? What's that? Like that kind of stuff. That's what I want from Kojima. I want him to like do a podcast that seems really mundane, but everyone's like, what the shit is happening? What is he? What is
I think
this?
Jeff is like hosting it or in some parts of the podcast as well. So it'll probably be
All right,
on,
so it's a
on
real
It's gonna be in
podcast. It's not a group.
English?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be in English, or he's gonna have a translator there or something. I'm not sure how it's gonna work, to be
Oh,
honest.
I hope he has a translator. Just because, like, I feel like you never get to express yourself as openly in your second language as, like, a
I hope that
polyglot. Like, it's really hard to,
Sure.
I
like,
hope that Jeff Keighley
switch that
speaks
gear and say what
Japanese.
you mean. See, that would be novel.
That
That
would be
would be
great.
novel.
That'd be
Yeah.
great. That'd
But
be
I
great.
feel like we need more translators even at E3. I feel so bad for people because they're, like, up there trying to sell their game, and you can tell they're so passionate, but there's, like, that barrier, that language barrier,
Just get
and
Mhm.
I commend them trying because like, most people, like, you don't go on a stage in front of, like, potentially millions of viewers, who are gonna watch that content and speak in a language you're not completely fluent in. It takes a lot of guts, so I commend the effort, but I
yeah.
also feel bad because. You know,
It's why it's
yeah, I was
so
watching PC
staged.
Gaming Show last year and, like, yeah, seeing, like, Eastern European dudes that are, like, struggling to talk about why their game is cool, I'm always like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I wish they had, like, someone there to help you," you
Just
know?
get Amy from Final Fantasy team, and then everything's
Dude,
good.
Amy is a stone cold the Final Fantasy team, their translators, bless their sweethearts. They're so good.
Godlike, God tier.
They're so good.
Yeah.
The
Speaking of
Nintendo Direct translations are kinda seem dope too. I feel like they contextualize.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah,
that's also
Yeah.
again, it's incredibly pre-planned, which is why like the best translated things at big conventions and shows are the ones where they have a lot of planning in advance. But
Yes.
on the flip side, it seems a little like canned and corporate so everyone's like, "Bleh." But like, it's the best we can do unless you suddenly gonna learn
Yeah.
a second language, America.
yeah. That's not gonna
Translation
happen.
is an art. Too. Translation is super difficult
Oh
because it's
yeah,
not a
nightmare.
one-to-one crossover, otherwise Google
Mhm.
Translate would be really easy. But even when I translate stuff from, like, Punjabi or Hindi to English, it's really, really hard because you have to find the closest American or English equivalent. You can't just say things the way they are.
Yeah,
And, like, my one example of this is, like, in Punjabi, we have a phrase that's like, after you're done crying, they'll say, like, "Oh, dil halka ho gaya," which is like, "Oh, my heart is lighter now." And sometimes this gets, like, mistranslated into lighthearted, and I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. It's someone,
Mm,
like, taking grief off their heart or, like,
right.
unburdening
Weight off your
themselves."
shoulders.
Yes, yes, like, because they were sad and they cried, and they're talking about that release post-cry. We do have a word for
Mhm.
that in English, cathartic. But people mistranslate that all the time because the direct translation is, "Oh, you're lighthearted," and it's like, "No, it's the catharsis of, like, crying when
Right.
you're sad, how that gives you that relief." But trying to find cultural equivalents sometimes is really hard.
that's tough. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
So you
look,
have to have a
we
deep understanding of both languages to really find, like, the because people will use the canned response of, like, Americans don't even have a word for that, or English doesn't have a word for that. I'm like, "No, English doesn't have a word for it, but they do have a phrase or a sentiment, and that's what you have to find when you translate."
we literally English has 3 versions of the word there. And we
Mhm.
get that wrong as English speakers.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
I don't expect much from anyone. I'm like, look, you tried. That's all that matters to me. Like, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I know we won't. Shit. We'll be like, what? Spanish? I'm not learning that.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
I was reading an article by someone that was talking about how some of the translation in Squid Game completely changes the context of one of the characters, and I
Interesting.
found that to be very interesting.
Well,
And it was
when
really
you.
small changes that, like, because she says to everyone, "Oh, you don't want me on your team because you think I'm stupid." And with the actual, like, direct translation was, "Oh, you don't want me on your team because I didn't go to, like, a fancy university like you. It's because she's, like, poor and she's low class." And then the person writing the article even gave this context of, like, even her accent and stuff like that is stuff that would be considered, like, trashy or low class, and it gives a completely different layer to her character that's absent in the English version.
I think people don't think about the translation team in media that much when really most of the time, the best translated stuff turns out to be people taking source material and rewriting it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
the best old video games that were translated from Japanese, the best ones are where a writer came in and told a similar story, but it wasn't one-to-one because the translation would have just been weird. And when you see the story, you're like, wow, that was great. But then you realize if you look at the Japanese version where you're like, it's a entire different story. And sometimes it's amazing and sometimes it's terrible. And I will simply say again, the perfect example of a change that infuriates me, Final Fantasy 15, end of the game, all the boys sitting around, shit has gone down. In the American version, he's like, hey, thanks, guys. And in the Japanese version, he's like, I love you guys. Why can't that be in the American version? Oh, that's so infuriating. Oh, it makes me so mad.
Yeah. Cultural context changes so much because different cultures also like different kinds of stories too. And I found it fascinating that when Neil Gaiman, I have one of Neil Gaiman's children's books about this little panda who has like a really powerful sneeze. It's like the greatest book ever, by the way. But he was basically talking about why his books don't do well in a lot of Asian countries. And I think it was someone at his publisher was like, well, because a lot of your stories are about disobedient children, and people in Asian countries don't like that, and it's not relatable to Asian children because even on TV, like our shows are not about this kid that's constantly getting in trouble at school, like because Indian kids don't really want to watch that, and their parents definitely don't want them to watch it. So he made a story about a panda that is not disobeying his parents. He just accidentally gets into trouble because he sneezes and then everything, blows up every time he sneezes. And I thought that was so cute that instead of being like, "Oh, well, fuck Asia," he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna write a story for Asian kids. I can do that."
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, super cute. I think it's called Tuesday. You guys should check it out if you have children. It's really cute.
Never heard of it. Might look into it. What is that? 22 minutes. Padded.
Look at us.
Podcast. Crushed it.
Look at that. That was the intro.
Long in the She-Hulk episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. We were 1 minute longer than the She-Hulk episode.
What's crazy is when I sat down, I was like, oh, this one's like 30 some minutes. It is like 10 minutes of credits.
Yes.
There's so many credits on this episode.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's
whoa.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But hey, those
I
21 minutes were great.
Post-credit scene, though.
Yes, it's great. Everything. Look, I think the show's great.
Scene was fire.
I think this entire episode was great.
Bronze, are we on the same page? She-Hulk is like pretty fucking good.
It's pretty good.
Yes, yes. I think.
I like how you have to check with Bronze because you're like, JP's gonna like it.
I just because like Bronze had a look. Bronze, you had a look that was kind of like I'm about to roast these two boys, which is usual. I feel like that's what happens.
Yeah, that's the show. That's the
but I had to check, and I'll be real with you. I absolutely love this show so far.
I agree. I think it's great.
I think it's it's short, but I think that's the perfect length for this.
It is 100%.
Yeah,
it's so like I'm not upset when it's short in this. I'm like, oh, that was great. That was bite size. All the jokes landed. Everything else landed. I love the characters. I love everything that they're doing. Great. I'll see you next week. I wasn't I wasn't overwhelmed by anything. It was great.
What's absolutely crazy is this episode straight up is like gets fired, gets rehired, immediately goes to see a meal, episode ends. Yeah. There's like a scene with her family, but that's it. It isn't like complicated. It isn't like a ton of crazy shit happened. It is what I wanted from Miss Marvel.
Yes.
Where it's like, it's just a person living their life. You don't have to be like on space and shit. It is. I was like, yes. We get to just hang out with the characters. There is no reason the Emil scene needed to be one half. It's one half of the episode. It is half the episode's runtime. And I don't give a shit. It's great. It's him just being like, I thought I was doing my job. I was like trying to stop a monster. I wrote some haikus. Like that shit. I was like, this is brilliant. This is so good.
Yeah, I agree. And I love the fact they also they have reverence for everything that has come before the show to just mention it like slightly and then move the fuck on immediately. Like the fact that he was like, yeah, I was a completely different person back then. That's like the craziest nod I've ever seen in a Marvel film ever, because the whole quite literally was a different actor.
Different person.
In the thing.
Yeah.
And like, it's like a layered commentary on everything. Cause like he was a different person in character. He's a different person literally in the show. Like whoever thought of that comment is 10 out of 10. That's like the actual, some of the best writing I've seen in the MCU in a very long time, it felt.
Look. We got someone in
Here it
MCU canon. Some crazy guy who probably is the me of that universe is like, did anyone notice the damn man in the ocean? Thank God. At least someone said something, even though it's like not an answer and it doesn't.
Mhm.
I'm so happy I saw that. I was like, you know what? I'll take it. Even if we never get it, it's never addressed again.
Yeah.
I'll still be upset, but at least someone somewhere said something.
I thought
It's
the other
the
tidbit
bone I
was
needed.
more interesting than the man in the ocean comment.
Oh, the guy with he's like Metal Claw Man messes up bar or whatever it said.
That's pretty. I mean, that's like
That's pretty cool as well.
If they introduced Wolverine through like Hulk, that's pretty fucking sick. Like that's comic book shit right there. I'd love to see
They have
Hulk
history.
and they have a ton of history in the books. I would love to see Wolverine and Hulk hanging out.
Also, I'm so glad that the little like stinger twist at the end was straight up just like, the lawyer for Emil Blonsky hasn't responded to the fact that like this footage of him fighting in a club. I was like, they're doing this.
Yeah,
They're
it's
actually
great. It's continuity across the board. Yeah.
Huge fan. Yeah, when shit actually is like, there is some continuity, it's beautiful.
Well,
for me as a lore nerd, I'm like, they're doing it.
They're doing it while telling a completely different story as well, which is great.
Yeah.
I think the next episode's going to start and Abomination's just going to be in a cell again. Because that's what happens after the fight is Wong and him are walking back into that exact cell. Yep. So I think that's how the next episode's going to start. And
that's why Wong is going to be in the series, probably to be like, look, my bad. I don't know if he's going to have a big role, but he's definitely going to be part of the reason.
He's going to be a part of the court case.
Part of the defense, right?
Yeah. Which is awesome. I love every aspect about that. I also think this showed, more so than most other Marvel stuff, the side characters that get like 2 lines are some of the best moments in the entire show. Like Pug, when he walked in there and handed him the gift basket and then told him this
is the best bathroom to poop in.
Yeah.
That shit cracked me up. I was like, that is truly the nicest thing a person could do for you.
It was incredibly
nice. This is the best bathroom to poop. And I was like, that's a hero right there.
Yeah. Pug was great. The dad being like, hey, come help me in the garage real quick. And then he just wanted to check in on his daughter. Like, that was fucking awesome. That's great.
By the way, can we talk about how the dad is, this is going to date me. I don't care. He's Larry from Perfect Strangers. Just putting that out there. I love, if you were not an 80s kid, if you weren't born in the 80s, you don't remember Perfect Strangers. But for everyone else out there who does, I used to watch that when it was either on Friday nights or it was on something. It was like late 80s TV show. I was a very small kid, but I remember it because it had Balky, whatever his name is, the crazy guy.
Maybe I do remember that. I just don't remember the other, because I remember Balky.
Yeah, Larry and Balky. Larry was the straight guy and Balky was the crazy one. The comedy duo bit.
Yeah.
Great. Huge fan.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, Balky Bartokoumas. Yeah, there you go. Thanks, chat. It's good. I couldn't believe it. I was like, first off, it ages you when you realize the dude that you remember being very young is now like 68, 70.
Yeah,
you're like,
wow. Elder years.
But hey, it was nice seeing him. I love that kind of stuff where they just are like, yeah, he's the dad. And he's going to have like 5 lines and that's it.
Yeah. Well, I thought that entire family scene was great because she was just like, God, I fucking hate every single one of you. But I love every single one of you at the same time.
Yeah, the Hulk, the normal Hulk, his extended family is insane. Which is even funnier to me.
Yeah, it's her brother, right, that works at Best Buy? That shit cracked me.
No, I think it was the cousin.
Was it a cousin? Okay.
Because I think he said cousin when he was talking.
Was cousin.
Which, if that's a cousin, then are those people related to Hulk?
I don't know.
Are those banners? I don't know.
I think they're all banners in one way or the other. Somewhat. They at least have the genes. Does that mean if like Hulk, if they just want to create a family of Hulks, can that work?
Technically they could. I mean,
that's
although
that's a what if scenario I would love to see.
That's so much better than the family of Hulks they did in the comic book.
I remember you
Yeah, I
told
was
us
about to
about
say.
that shit,
I was about.
and it
I was
was
about to
awkward
say
as
it's
fuck, right?
bad in that book.
Yeah,
It's horrible. It's
yeah.
like the worst thing I've ever read in my life, and I would but this would be much better. If they wanna do that storyline, let's have it be that everyone in the Banner family has a gene that allows them to metabolize gamma radiation,
Yeah.
and they all somehow get splashed with, this blood instead of having it be, Jen is assaulted by Bruce, and then they have inbred children
Yep.
that are all country
Can't
hick
wait to see
redneck
how Disney adapts
stereotypes.
that.
Yeah, and then they eat
That was a real
people.
thing. They were
They're
all, like,
cannibals.
trailer park, like
Oh yeah.
like, stereotypes of, like, the South and rednecks, like it was the first time I was like, "Maybe you can be racist against white people." It was the first time I was like, I would if I was white and I was reading this, I'd be fucking offended. I'd be like, "I'm fighting,"
Yeah.
because it
Although
was
now that
just
I think
like,
about
"Oh,
it,
yeah, they're all cousin fucking, like," and the way they dress, they're wearing, like, flannel and straw hats, and they eat people, and I was just like, "This is the most The Hills Have Eyes,
Oh yeah.
inbred." I don't even know! I hate that they did it. I'm just like, "Who greenlit this? I wanna slap you."
Yeah.
I will say I would love if they do something in the MCU with just hulking out of the family. I need to see the
It'd be a
Best
what
Buy
if
cousin.
episode.
The Best Buy cousin as like a Hulk is like that would be
I would love
ludicrous. I
that.
can't even imagine what he'd be like as a character.
That whole it would be absurd. Everyone in that family as a Hulk would be absurd. I hope that's a what if episode.
Yeah. One of
It
them is a
I don't
sounds
Hulk
know.
like the most
stylist.
Venture Brothers thing ever.
Yeah, I don't know where it goes. I don't know what
I'm
story
a
they tell.
Hulk.
Yeah, it'd be weird. It'd be weird. I love the fact we got the Hulk flying to Sakaar just casually, randomly out of
Mhm.
nowhere on a fucking phone in the middle of
I love that she
space.
called him out on the movie bit of like after they say the one liner that it just stops.
Yeah,
And she's like, "Oh, I guess that's where the call's over now." Like I love that bit. I
yeah.
was like, "That's pretty funny."
It's super referential and super great. Like they're on the
Yeah.
writing's on point through the first two episodes so
Yeah.
far.
No, the writing in this is perfect, and I think, like, the 20-minute episodes, even though I was making fun of it, are perfect because they've managed to nail the tone of why Jennifer is breaking the wall and kinda talking to the audience, which is it almost always seems like that everybody's favorite part from Ant-Man, which is the recap where it's like, "Hey,
Yes, yeah.
so" and everybody said, like, "Can we just have a whole movie of this guy recapping the entire MCU?" And I'm like, I feel like they took that and they were like, "What if it was Jen just recapping, like, so, I guess, I'm a lawyer now," or whatever, or like, "Love that for me." Like, it just kinda seems like you're having a drink with her and she's recalling this tale to you. I also really like that, like, a lot of I liked the first episode. I had a couple of, like, critiques, but I feel like those are actually all addressed in the second episode. Because the first episode kinda seems like, "Listen, Bruce, I know a lot more about this than you do," and the second episode is him being like, "Yeah, I was right and you were wrong." And
Yeah.
so we're kind of falling in love with this character because she's fallible, which is my big critique of a lot of women's writing when done through MCU is like they have a hard time making flawed female characters. They kind of lean into this stereotype that I call like empowered and bitchy and Final Fantasy does this a lot too, unfortunately, like with characters like Lightning, where they'll be like, "Well, she's strong. So therefore she's just bitchy and
Yeah.
arrogant and she's an empowered woman." And I'm like, this is obviously an empowered woman written by a bunch of men because like
Hmm.
this is ridiculous. I like first of all, Tatiana Maslany is amazing. This is the
Fucking
first thing I've seen her
ridiculously
in
good.
and I really like her.
Thank God.
But
She's
because it's
crushing it.
there's a likable quality to her that like Brie Larson didn't have. I'm sorry, but there's just like a generally, accessible. I don't know. She's just agreeable, and so you love that about her, but her confidence comes from is like a good thing, but you do see it like bite her in the ass sometimes where she's stubborn. She is much more stubborn than like any other character I've seen thus far, where she's like, "No, I'm gonna be a lawyer. No, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm gonna do that." And then she's just like, "Shit." And so you almost are kind of rooting for her, but you're also like, "Oh, Jen, baby, that's it's cute that you
Her
think that, you know?" Like
Yeah.
her talking to like breaking the fourth wall, talking to the audience, and then realizing this dude's asking her a question and her replying, "I'm agnostic," and then saying, "I'm gonna think about that all year," is like such a perfect character moment.
Yeah.
Because it tells you everything you need to know. Absolutely, like
Yeah.
immediately, like, all right, I get who this character is even more now. Like, okay,
Yeah.
it's great.
I
I
even
The
loved,
writing so
like,
far has been
her
very, very good.
I even loved, like, her paralegal is that the right word? Yeah, checking her a little
Yeah,
bit, where she was like, I don't wanna work in superhuman law and da da da," and her paralegal's like, "It's a job, it's
yeah.
money,
Just fucking
it's a
take it.
nice office, get over yourself," you know? I love that because it kinda highlights, like, Jen does not compromise, like, it's getting like and that personality and stuff is what makes a superhero interesting, more so than their powers, right? So, like, I
hmm
love that, like, when she exhibits, like, she's so unwavering and so unbending on her vision and her goal, and it's not a a good thing all the time if you think about it. Sometimes you
right.
gotta go with the flow, and I love that, like y'all were saying, the side characters in the show have enough
They're
personality. Because I
so
I
strong.
definitely had a moment where I was like, "Girl, you didn't have a job, you couldn't even afford to drink in a bar anymore, like, and now you're sitting here and you're upset." And then right when I was, like, starting to feel that simmer, her assistant's literally like, it's a freaking corner office and we have a job. Just fucking take it,
We
you
got
know? And I was like,
water.
thank
Yeah,
you.
we
Look
have
at these
water in a fucking
windows.
mini fridge. Yeah.
Yeah, we
What I
haven't stocked
absolutely
vinegars. This is so much nicer than where we were working. Just fucking take it, you know?
what I absolutely love is the fact that I don't think the trailers did this show any justice because when I watched the trailers, I was convinced I would hate every one of the side, like all the side characters
Yeah.
had like were just all snarky one-liners, and they're so much more entertaining than whatever the hell that trailer was. Like, I absolutely love her paralegal. I think she's great. I think every character we've seen so far has been like super interesting. I mean, even the like old lawyer man who hires
He's
her
great.
he has like his
He's
own
amazing.
thing as well. Like, yeah, I'm very pleased with what they've done with the show and everyone, even like the guard walking her to
That was a
go
great
see
line.
Abomination.
Yes.
Everyone,
Yeah.
all the side characters, I'm like,
Well, the
they're
writing there
nailing
is so
this.
good because she makes the
Yeah,
Silence of the Lambs joke, and he's like, "Man, this is a prison." Like, shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
this is
so good.
serious. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I I even like so the bar scene and all of the stuff with her boss essentially is basically directly taken from the Slot comic. So if y'all
Mm,
wanna read that, which is kind of th they've adapted that story. I'm not gonna say it's the same because in that, I think I mentioned last week, she basically gets kicked out of the Avengers mansion, but it's
right.
largely the same in that she fumbles a case because well, I don't know if it's really fumbling. The case gets thrown out as a mistrial because everyone is like, "Well, they had to put the trial on pause for She-Hulk to go save the world." Literally, like, she flies into space and helps the Avengers, like, destroy this thing and then comes back, and everyone's like, "Well, obviously the jury is biased now because she just, like, went into outer space with Captain
mhm.
America and all these guys and, like, saved planet Earth." Like, and so the case gets thrown out, so that part was, like, all the same, where she's just like, "What do you mean it's a mistrial?" And, um, she turns back into a human in the bar and, like, all the alcohol hits her, and she, like, throws up on his shoes, I think, in the comic, and he's like, "Alright, show up at my job or show up at my office," and then she goes upstairs and realizes it's, like, superhuman law. But he's kind of I think his name is Holloway. He's kinda the same way in the comic too, like, kind of gruff, kind of no nonsense, um, b and I like how they're nailing that in this because
Yeah.
it would be so easy for that character to just be an irredeemable asshole,
And never see him again.
but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but
To
he's
just
kind
serve as a
of
plot device.
He has a line
cool.
when he's talking to his secretary that stuck with me because I was like, "That's a great character moment." I don't know if they threw where he says, he says to her to tell some dude in the office, that he hates Minnesota, I think, and so that's why we're gonna send him there. But just tell him that. Like, we're not going to
Yeah.
do it, but just tell them we're going to go do that. And it was such a throwaway line. I was like, that's great character work, like character building for a character that doesn't even need character building. But like they did that and it's there. And I was like, that's fantastic.
Mhm.
I saw that, I noticed it, and I was like, okay, so the boss thinks he's funny. And now I know that about this
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is, like, he gives me the vibe of, like, the boss that's, like, super laid back, but also I don't know how to describe it, like, my
He's a
favorite
hard
part is
ass
when
at
he's
the
on the
same
phone
time.
with Jen, and she's like, "I'm gonna take the case, and also, I'm really confident," and he's like, "Glad to hear that, let me know when you look at the news," and he just, like, hangs up.
Yeah.
It's like, "Abomination has broken out of prison." I'm like, he doesn't react, though. He's not like,
So
"Really? 'Cause have you heard the news?" He's just like, "Okay, alright, well, I'm glad you feel that way," you
yeah,
know?
I thought the exact
Yeah.
same thing. Someone in chat just said, "Dude's a scroll." 100% that guy's a scroll. 100% he has a fucking
You think so?
law. He has a
Oh,
law
that'd be
firm with a
interesting.
scroll in charge to protect other scrolls from getting in prison. 100%. I bet you
Interesting.
that's what's going on.
Love that. Yes,
That'd be
that's
so
that's pretty
sick.
fun.
Yeah, that could be really
Yeah.
cool. That could
Yeah.
be really cool.
Yeah, if that's the
You know what
play,
else
that'd be
was
great.
great? This is a show going back to what I was saying earlier, the idea that they take the time to just do stuff.
Yeah.
The fact that they're just like, we're gonna have a conversation with Bruce. We're just gonna call Bruce and have a talk.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have a chat.
Mhm.
And it's not gonna be like, it's gonna be just catch up. Like it's just two people talking. That's the scene. Asking like, are you okay if I take this case? That's like it's
Well, it's
something that needs to be done, but most Marvel TV shows would not have the time to do it because they're like, look, we got 6
Yes.
fucking episodes. We gotta
I think you could take that a step further. Most shows would take that moment and make it an entire episode, right? Where it's all
Sure.
building to this climax of like, Jen's gonna ask Hulk if. Meanwhile, they have the moment, it's in a random part of the show, and Hulk's like,
Mhm.
"You're not calling me to make sure. You've already made up your mind." And then it turns into like,
Right.
"Yeah, you're right." Like that. That just
Mhm.
shows how good the writing I think is for the show.
But it also shows
I
their established relationship
Yes.
where the two of
Yeah.
them, you know,
Yeah.
And it gets away from what I hate about some Star Wars writing and a lot of MCU writing where I'm like, all of this could have been solved with a fucking conversation.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yup.
No, I'm
Yeah.
so mad that, like, Captain America didn't tell Tony, "Hey, by the way, I have it on really good authority that, like, Bucky killed your parents." It drove me insane. I'm like, "You're supposed to be his best friend.
Right.
Like, how do you think this is gonna play out? Like, how do you like, eventually, he's gonna find out. How the fuck do you think that's gonna go down? Wouldn't it be better to, like, sit him down and tell him?" And so many people are like, "Well, Braun, so then there wouldn't be a movie." No, just create a better reason for there to be a conflict than, "Oh, these characters don't talk to each other." And
Right.
even, like, the 2nd movie in the new Star Wars trilogy, do not make me go on the rant about where I'm like, "Why doesn't anybody just tell Poe Dameron, like, what the plan is?" Like, it drove me nuts. They're just like,
It's because he was
"Just
supposed to
do
be
it,
dead.
Poe.
He was
Just
supposed to be dead.
listen
That's
to us,
why.
Poe. Just do it, Poe." And I was
Just
like,
follow
"Or just
orders,
tell
Poe.
him."
Yeah.
Yeah, it drove me batty. I was like, "You know what? I know that, like, Oscar Isaac campaigned for the character to continue to be in the trilogy and did such a good job they allowed it, but at this point, I almost wish he had died in the first movie
Right.
because this writing has destroyed my favorite character, and I loved Poe Dameron from the comics. Because you know me, that's the only stuff I know about Star Wars is the comic book stuff. And I loved his mom, Shara Bey, and all that, and I was like, "Man, they're ruining my boy Poe."
They planted a
And I had
tree.
that feeling in this that I was like, "Are they really gonna do this bit where she fights the Hulk?" Because the Hulk's like, "I can't believe
He
you're
took the
defending
case.
Abomination."
Yeah.
And I thought for sure that was what was gonna happen. I was like, "Oh my god, is this gonna be them fighting and him hulking out again because, like, and losing his cool?" Like, because I loved, like, the Cabana Hulk that's like, "I am so cool and collected, and I've done the work and the therapy, and eventually you're gonna have to do that too," you know? But I love that he's like, "Listen, it's fine, it's cool. You've already made up your mind, that's fine. I was a different person back then, don't worry about it." You know? Like, I
Yeah.
was like, "Ah! Ah!
It's
Now we
over.
can get a better reason
Yeah.
for them to potentially fight," because how the hell are they such good cousins? They're going on my cat is wreaking fucking havoc right now. How the hell are they such good friends and cousins that they're going on a road trip together, but they can't have that heart to heart,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
That's the part that, like, gets me because you don't go on a road trip with a cousin you're not that close to, and they go off, like, together, just the 2 of them. That insinuates that Jen and Bruce are like pretty tight. Like, they're going.
I didn't expect to see him in the show anymore after the first episode. The fact that we like got that phone call I was
The
like,
fact that
oh
we have a
wow.
continuation of the reason why the ship was there to begin with.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then also they pushed another. That's kind of the more remarkable part about the show is that it continually pushes so many different storylines in a matter of seconds, and also makes it important to the actual She-Hulk character itself.
Because that's all we need. I feel like the MCU gets caught up in its own bullshit of like, we need to take a lot of time to really hammer home what's happening on the screen.
Right.
And you simply don't. The audience is smart enough to figure out what's going on. Kids get it. Adults get it. You don't have to give us like a 45 minutes part of a movie where it's like, all right, we're going to get really in depth with some stupid shit. Like, you don't need to. You don't need to.
Yeah.
I love that sentence though. We're going to get really in depth with some stupid shit.
That's really what it is, because it's all fake.
Yeah.
It's not real. You don't have to give us like, that's what, like, go make a source book and sell that shit if you really care.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, it's unnecessary. You have got 2 hours to create something. We get it. Like, keep going.
And once
fine.
again, that's where this format just shines of her recapping everything, because the pacing,
Yes.
it's generally implied that there's probably some time that passed in certain places. At least that's the vibe I got. Like it's heavily implied that like she's unemployed for some period of time, especially for her entire family to be talking about it. But they zip past it because you don't need to spend an entire episode of showing her going and interviewing and being denied. Like, it's shown as, like, a quick compilation, months have gone by, and then she's going to this family dinner, she's been a Hulk for a while, you know? "Oh, I told my friend about you because his son wants to be a superhero, they never heard of you before." Like, it's implied, like, yeah, okay, she's been living as a She-Hulk for a minute, but they zip through it in, like, just a few minutes,
Yeah.
which is kinda
And
cool.
they tell so much story in that. Like just the
Yeah.
fact that the offices behind her get worse as time progresses on, as she's
Mhm.
doing the interviews. In like 30 seconds, you're exactly right. They push all that, time moves forward, and they're also telling story through like the context clues of what's on screen, which is I fucking love it. Like I love how fast it is, and you can get everything that's happening within like 30 seconds, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
with
works to the
WandaVision,
format.
this format didn't work for me at all. Like, the 20-minute episodes in WandaVision were upsetting
Mm.
for me. In this one, I'm like, "Oh, that was a good short 20-minute
It's
episode," you know?
It's the only Marvel show that I think this has worked for time wise. Because with Loki, I was pissed off. I was like, God, I want more of this. I want to see where
Well,
the story's
the
going. With
difference
this, I'm like, oh, okay, great. I'll see you next week.
the difference is that
Mhm.
WandaVision and Loki were mysteries. We as the audience
Sure.
are trying to solve whatever the hell the story is they're trying to tell us. And so when it's short, we're pissed because we're like,
Mhm.
we got no answers, only more riddles. And with this, it's not a mystery. It's literally just a like comedy with some superhero elements, and it is played for what it is. And there isn't like, but what is Hulk doing in that ship? We don't care. He's going to Sakaar. Great, we know. Fine, moving on. It's
But
very good.
I love
Yeah.
that I love that the larger storyline is being reserved for Hulk, because I remember going into this saying, "God, I hope they don't do some big world-ending event," because I don't think that's where She-Hulk shines. I'm not saying She-Hulk couldn't be in a big Avengers crossover. I'm just saying I personally don't think that's where she shines. Maybe a couple of seasons from now, that would make more sense when she's, like, developed her skill set. But I love that,
Or
like,
another property,
she's
right? If she just
yeah,
goes off
yeah.
and is in something else, that'd be awesome as well. Keep
Mhm.
She Hulk.
But I
I
I love
totally
that, like, she has this, sort of street level view of stuff, and I love that they're keeping that scope small, and
Yeah.
like we were saying, they're just, like, little one-liners that develop a lot where it's like, "Oh, well, you could be a superhero," and, like, things like acknowledging the man in the ocean, acknowledging Wolverine, acknowledging, like, all of these things that are, like, happening in the world. The fact that her answer is like, do the Avengers have healthcare? Do the Avengers have a pension? Do they have maternity leave? Do they have all these things? I was like, "This is what I wanted, though. Like, this is what I wanted from the outset, is somebody that's like a normal person
Yeah.
in the MCU. And I can't believe they nailed it here, but they couldn't fucking nail that shit with Miss Marvel. Like, it's actually
Or
frustrating.
anything. They couldn't do it in
Like,
anything in a
they
very long
literally have
time.
never been able to nail it. And I love that this is like a very almost like comedic take on what has been a really serious conversation. Because like when Sam Wilson talks about being broke, that was the first time all of us kind of first had that conversation of like, "Y is it your friend Tony Stark? Like, how the hell is your family losing your property and because you can't afford, the taxes or something like that on this boat and you can't afford to restore it, and you're like friends with actual millionaires. Like they're like this isn't do they pay you in the Avengers? That's like the first time it came up. And then it came up with Hawkeye with his hearing issues where I had that second thought where I was like, you're telling me scientists that can design Vision and Ultron, but there's no one that could
Fix
help
your
you
hearing,
with
yeah.
your hearing loss at all or give you a better, like cochlear implant or hearing aid? Because like I remember when his breaks, I like had these like things where I was like, gosh, but I love She-Hulk addressing that, like I said, in one sentence and just being like, why the fuck would I want to be an Avenger?
Yeah, and
Like,
then
and
moves
and
on.
after the other shows, can you blame her? Have they taken care of the Avengers? Do the Avengers take care of the people in it? Not really.
Yeah.
Working for a firm would probably take care of you better than being an Avenger.
Yeah.
I must say, it was such a throwaway line. Again, this show's filled with them, and they're so good. After hearing the internet lose its shit about Titania for so long, to have the throwaway line be social, like
Social,
was
she's
it
influencer, super
enhanced
influencer.
influencer. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Super
I was like, she's
influencer.
an influencer, and she's
That's
like,
what
she
she
Yeah.
was
does.
in court for a traffic violation. I was like, it was a traffic.
Well,
I
no,
love that
she was in
entire.
court for a traffic violation because she was doing something that like a fucking influencer would go do. Chat, what was the
I
purpose? It was
I
ridiculous.
loved I loved that so much because I was like, well, of course. Now it makes perfect sense to me. And the outfit, the look, the vibe, I was like, holy shit, that is absolutely the best way to go with it. And I can't believe, like, I hope anyone who was like, it's not, I hope they shut the hell up because that was so good. I was like, oh, that's perfect. She's an influencer. Shut up.
It was
It
a
Loved it.
does
she left
explain
her
why
car
she looks
because of a blood
corny.
sugar incident. Sorry. That's what it was. A blood sugar incident. That's why she left her car. That's so ridiculous.
Amazing.
Sorry, Bronze, go ahead.
I definitely love that, like, it does cover why she looks so scuffed.
Yeah.
Because I think that was, like, a lot of like, that was my thing where I was like, they put her in the trailer like she was gonna be this big deal, and
She
then she
might be
got, like,
later on in the
walloped
show.
in, like, 2 seconds, which I like if we're going with the influencer route, but I
Mhm.
just couldn't and I said it, I was like, "I can't get over, like, her fucking look," and now I'm like people were comparing her to a wrestler, and I was like, "Don't insult wrestlers like that." But then but then, like, knowing, like, oh, she's, like, an Instagram celebrity, I'm like, "No, I've seen those people wear stupider shit."
Yeah.
Like, the
Yeah.
thing you see on Essence that's, like, $800 and it's, like, a fuzzy cowboy hat, and you're like, "Who the fuck is buying an $800
An
fuzzy cowboy
Instagram
hat?"
model has it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
see
yeah.
some idiot on Instagram wearing it, and it's like, "This isn't even cute." Like, this isn't like, you're just and so that explains the tassels, the diamond tassels on the ugly leather bustier
Yeah.
and the ugly red hair. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay,
I would think
you're
that
an Instagram influencer."
I think we're gonna see her again. And Jin's probably gonna have to represent her this time around. That's how she gets back into the show. Because I'd be
I
upset if
think
she
it's
was in
gonna
there for
be
10 seconds. That I don't know if
I
they would do
feel
that
like the
though.
throwaway line of when they're in the office for the first time, and she comments that everyone there thinks she got the job because she's She-Hulk,
Yeah,
and I imagine her celebrity as She-Hulk growing as she takes on cases. This is
sure.
going to be one of those things where the influencer who only cares about like numbers and popularity and people, and
Oh,
she
she
got beat up
wants
by this
to
person is going to be like,
the
Yeah,
work.
that's
I'm
my
better
thought
than her.
too.
Yeah,
That's
Mm,
my thought too. I think she's gonna try to redeem because, like, if you think about it, Titania basically created She-Hulk and made her famous. And I
Sure.
bet you she's gonna be annoyed about that, and I think my theory,
That's
because this
true.
is where I would go with it, is I think Emil is gonna show that some superheroes and super enhanced individuals are worth defending, and I think Titania is gonna show some of them fucking aren't, and they need to go to
Yeah.
jail, you know? I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be like, some people deserve the power and other people take it and do bad things with it. Like, you can't
Like
sit
become an
through a
influencer.
traffic infraction court case, you're gonna break through a wall. Like, clearly you do not need to be having powers if you're doing all this to get out of a freaking ticket. Like, pay the goddamn ticket, you know?
Yeah.
So I that's my theory as well, is that she's gonna be like, like, "The only reason you have any clout is because of me," because that's really what sets it all off. Like, Titania
Right.
essentially has created She-Hulk. Before that, she was just being a normal person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
I think you're right, unless they're gonna do some big twist with Emil, where he's like, "I'm actually evil," which I don't think they're
he
gonna
I
do.
is.
don't think so.
But the
I
idea of
don't
him
think
being
so.
like, they spend 10 minutes with the man in this episode, half the episode where he's like, "Look, I was hired by the US government to do a job. I thought it was like a freaking monster.
It's crazy
I
how
thought
they
it was the
recap
hero."
that film, kind of, in like
It was
5 minutes.
But it was so. But here's the thing: like, it was so good to see it from his perspective, where he was like, because in
Yeah.
the movie he's kind of a piece of shit, but in this he's like, "Bro, I was doing a job. I thought I was the good guy. I thought I was doing stuff." He's like, people died, and I'm really sorry, and I literally write haikus about that shit." Like, he is a different, older character, and I love that bit about him. And so the idea, I think, Bron's the idea of him being a guy who we saw as a villain, being like, "My bad, yo. I fucked up." That kind of attitude, I think, would be amazing to show. Like, this guy we thought was a villain actually is just a dude who thought he was doing the right thing and messed up. While Titania is just like, "I
A bad
want to be rich and
person.
famous, and I'm a bad
Yeah.
person." You're like, "No, you should be in jail." Yeah, I think that's
She's the
would be
opposite
great.
of She-Hulk, right? Because she's
Mhm.
using her power to, like, become famous, and She-Hulk is trying not to do that. I also have
Yeah.
a very spicy prediction. I
Uh-oh.
think she's gonna lose her case.
Jen is with Emil?
Yeah, yeah. I
Could
think
be.
she's gonna lose, and then the Thunderbolts are gonna bail him out, and I think, like, I think it's gonna take I think it's gonna be a great character arc for her.
Oh,
Is
true.
I think she's gonna lose. I think they're gonna find some technicality or find that the public just doesn't trust him. I think it's gonna have a beautiful overlap with Bruce and how she sees Bruce and how the rest of the world sees the Hulk. I think they're gonna talk about a conflict of interest, with her being She-Hulk. I think that
Yeah.
she's gonna lose. It's gonna eat away at her because this is a client she's gonna end up caring about, and I think it's gonna solidify, like, going into season 2, like, this is She-Hulk. I'm sure she will have a victory, but I
Right.
think it sets up the Thunderbolts to bail him out,
Oh, he's
and I
100%
think it
out of
sets up
jail this
her to
season.
be shaken in her faith of, like, the justice system. Because right now it seems like she's very like, "This is what I wanna do. Who would be a
Mhm.
superhero, a vigilante when you can do the law?" And I think this is where she's gonna start doing the part where she goes out at night, because that's the piece that's missing, right? Is, like, what
Right.
does she do as She-Hulk? We
Right.
know what she does in court. What does she do? I think that's what's gonna solidify her, is, like, it's not enough to fight them in court. I have to go out and fight them in the street because this is unjust, you know? And I
Can
think
I
if they go that route, I'm gonna be so fucking happy.
Yeah.
can I ask, I'm gonna give a shout out to my chat over here, blowing my mind. Can I ask, are his pen pals the other, like, is it American Agent? Is it like all the
How many
people in
members
Thunderbolts?
of Thunderbolts are there? I thought there was 6.
He said he had 7 pen
He's got
pals.
7 pen pals, yeah.
And so
I
that
think
could
they
be
could
the
be.
members plus plus Elaine from Seinfeld.
Could be.
Like, could it be US Agent? Could it be
It'd be
like
USA.
John Walker, I guess was his name?
Yeah, John Walker,
Yeah.
Zemo.
Could those be the
Red,
pen
Red
pals
Hulk
that he's
doesn't
referring
exist
to?
though, so I don't know.
I mean, it could be literally anyone else. I mean, we've got a
Yeah.
whole rogues gallery they could throw in there. I just think that would be such a perfect, like, little Easter egg. Like, yeah, I've been, messaging my Yelena. Oh my god. Like, all of that would be
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, I guess
And I
Echo is
think it
probably
would
one. Yeah.
also solidify why Emil would work for them, because it's like, what faith would You know, like he was given the serum by the government and then thrown in jail by the self same government. They have a recurring thread between a lot of these characters and that they've been fucked over, at least a few of them, by the same power structures that used them in the first place and then left them in a prison to rot, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think, like, that's my hope. That's
Although
my spicy prediction. We'll see if it happens.
Although
Maybe she'll win.
someone said that in the credits there's a clipboard of 7 blonde-haired women, and I guess that goes with this whole thing of like my girlfriends. So I mean, I
True.
guess
It could
maybe
just be
that's also
nothing.
it too.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny as well, but I would love it if it was like they're the other Thunderbolts, because that'd be a fun little throwaway.
Sure.
Because this show's full of it. They got all these little throwaway lines that in the end you're like, that was
a big deal.
super well done. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
We didn't even we mentioned the character, but Tim Roth like fucking kills it as well. Like he just
Tim
just
Roth is a fantastic actor
Yeah.
always. So
I love the
you know.
like. When going into it, all the rumors came out that like his character Abomination would be a lighter version of it. I was like, I don't know how that's gonna do. No, it works. It plays perfect with the like mood of the show, and the fact that he's playing like a recuperated Abomination the way that he is hilarious.
But it's
so
also
good.
2 actors who can act
Yes,
acting together.
That's very true.
Like
Mhm.
when you have stuff like that, it's always going to be good no matter what the hell they're
Dude,
saying, because you're like, oh, these people are talented.
To go to
You know,
Tatiana Maslany, I got big like kind of deja vu vibes when she's in the bar drinking a She-Hulk, then she reverts back and she immediately changes to like a drunk person, and it's a completely different like within seconds. That was probably all one take as well, which would be remarkable. But that's like Orphan Black in a nutshell, because she plays 12 characters or some shit in that show.
It was like the scene in Moon Knight where he's 2 characters in one scene and the switch is like that.
Yeah.
Like that's, you know, when an actor can act, it's very obvious and very good. And you're just like,
yeah, she nails it.
I understand why I'm watching this. I think, again, a lot of the Marvel stuff that we've seen, most of it, when it's good, it's great. And the problem is a lot of it is writing and pacing. And that's what, unfortunately, I think sucks about a lot of the TV shows is the writing and pacing is off for TV. And then the movies, it has to be the same formula every time, where it's like the first half of a movie always is like super fun. And then depending on what the world ending calamity is in the last half, it's like, well, did I enjoy that or not?
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I'm glad that this is a show where they're like, it is a 22-minute comedy series set in the Marvel universe, and that's what you're getting. And we're gonna like have light moments, and that's what it is. And we're not gonna stress all the crazy details and stuff. And we're gonna throw in a bit about an X-Man or a man in the ocean, and it's gonna be on a webpage. There you go. Enjoy. Totally here for it.
You know, to piggyback off what you're saying, I would add, like, yeah, it's time, like, pacing and scope.
Yeah.
Like, they always do something where I'm like, why couldn't you have a story with, like, a little more focus and a narrower scope, you know?
Right.
Because it's so frustrating sometimes when they, like, broaden out the scope to be, like, something, you know, that I'm and I know they had to rewrite the Flag Smashers because of the pandemic and stuff, but if you took the Flag Smashers completely out and just had our boy Bucky Barnes, God bless, with, like, Sam Wilson's Captain America, that would have been so much more of a compelling story. Like,
Yeah,
I shit you not. Like, if they just took the Flag Smashers out completely
they only show
and did,
up
like, this
in
different
3 episodes where it's relevant, right? The other 3 episodes, you didn't need them at all.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about what's in that show. Flag Smashers. You have Sharon Carter's storyline, Zemo's storyline. You have the storyline of learning about like the first Black Captain America. You have the storyline of like Captain America trying to become Captain America, Bucky's history, and dealing with the fact that he's like showing up every day at the dude whose son he killed's place. Like, there's so much happening. Same thing for Hawkeye. Same thing for all these different shows. It's crazy that it kept building and building and building. Meanwhile, you know, for what WandaVision was, it was very simple. Like, it was a simple show.
Well, it was contained
they,
both in story and like setting wise, ultimately.
And even Loki was crazy. It was all over the place, but it was very focused. It was hyper focused on what it was, and that's why I think I enjoyed it as much as I did. And ever since then, we've kind of just been like all over the place. And I think a great example of the mix is Moon Knight. Those first 3 episodes are like crazy, but then it focuses on what Moon Knight is, and the last 3 are fantastic. And so I think that's one of the things they need to do just in general is just what is the show? What are we trying to tell? And let's focus on that. And I think so far the first 2 episodes of this show are exactly what they needed. It's frankly, I am in love with it so far.
I agree.
Going that way. And I really hope that at some point, probably not this season, but I hope that in season 2, Jen takes the first Captain America's cape.
That would be
I think
that'd
that
be a
would
big
be
deal.
such a beautiful crossover.
Yeah.
But I think, like, that would be so like, that's the type of stuff I wanna see in the MCU, where I'm like, I would love for Sam Wilson to be in, like, season 2 of She-Hulk and be like, "Listen, I have a case for you.
Yeah.
You need to meet, like, you tried to help Emil, it didn't work out. You need to meet the Black Captain America that nobody talks about." You know? Like, I think that would be so cool, and having that courtroom drama, now that she has, like, some experience under her belt, I feel like it could be amazing, you know?
Can you imagine if that season involved her representing Black Captain America and his like lawsuit against the government or some shit, just like
It would be, yeah.
trying to get,
probably.
but at some point bringing to the stand old ass Captain America,
Yes.
Steve Rogers, as like
Yeah.
on his side, being like, you owe him a shit. Like that would be the legit coolest moment in a long time. I'd be like,
It'd be really
whoa!
good. That'd
Yeah,
be a big deal to pull
and it
off.
would be so cute because she has a photo of
Oh, she's
Captain
a
America's
fanboy.
ass.
Or fangirl.
So,
yeah.
like, that's why I feel like they're setting up for a Captain America crossover. I
There's
don't feel
something
like
going
I'm
on.
completely off on here. She obviously loves Captain America. In the Sewell comics, she actually has a case involving Old Cap specifically.
Right.
Old Cap is in the MCU canon. Why can't she have a case with him and be fangirling over him the entire time? It would be really cute. And when they talk about how, oh, the government gave him this serum and he became Abomination, she's like, wait, the government gave you that serum? The parallel is there for the Tuskegee experiments and the Black Cap. So if we bring him over and bring in Old Cap, all the threads connect. And I hope they do it in season 2 because it would be so cool. And it would still be funny and cute because we know that she's had an in-depth debate about this man losing his virginity.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, their interactions would be fucking adorable. They would be so cute.
And it gives her the opportunity and us as fans the opportunity to see Captain America do like one last great thing. And especially her as a fan, for him to show up and be like, you did this man wrong, I think would be so good. And so, you know, just putting it out there, Marvel, just putting it out in the ether. I think that'd be like such a great moment. So,
I mean, yeah,
I
think
would, that would be just,
it's a dream
especially
thing.
if she's like, I have a special, you know, or I have a witness to bring to the stand. If he just comes out, I think most
Out
of
of
the
nowhere.
audience would just lose their shit.
It would be
you know?
it would be the equivalent, at least for me. It would be the equivalent of seeing like Luke Skywalker again, like they did in another film or another show. Just to have that happen, not make any like fanfare about it in the episode. He just shows up. That would be wild. It'd be absolutely wild.
To put a button on it, like a little period after he walks off the stand, she can glance at his ass and say, "Still got it."
That's America's ass.
Done.
Yeah,
that would be like.
She looks at the camera, says America's ass.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
Yeah,
there's so much you could do with that. I'm just saying, make it happen, Marvel.
Yeah,
you have the power.
I think you can expand that even further. There's so much that you
Power
can do
in
with
my
this
hands,
character,
Marvel.
with so many
Let's
characters in the
build
MCU.
up and build like Voltron. I don't want a world-ending event for
I don't either.
She-Hulk. I want She-Hulk and Old Cap.
Just keep feeding her different lawsuits with different characters from the MCU. That's all. That's the show. Make that the show.
Yeah.
Don't.
And I don't know why. I
don't
just
need
think it would
anything
be
else.
fire if she loses the season. I don't know why. I feel like if she loses the Emil case, it's gonna give her that fire, where she goes from being reluctant about this job to being like, "No, this is fucking bullshit." You
Yeah.
know, like, I'm gonna work twice as hard, and I'm gonna help these people because this is not fair that people like Titania get to, like, do whatever the hell they want, and people like Emil are rotting in jail. Like, I think that's gonna, like, and I think that's what Titania is gonna be, is the foil to that, of, like,
Yeah.
some people are above the law, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do we like now that we know how the show's going, 2 episodes in, we know some other characters in the show. We know Frogman, that's a character.
Yep.
It's gonna show up. Probably someone she represents. Obviously, Daredevil's in this at some point. No idea what that
Mhm.
is. If that's gonna be like someone that she has to go up against, that's like across the bar from her. Like I don't know I don't know how he fits in at all, which is kind of exciting, right? I don't know if she's going to represent him, if he's going to be another lawyer that she goes against. If
Well,
he's
I mean,
working at this law, he might be working at the law firm.
he's not a prosecutor. Daredevil is a defense attorney. So there's no
Mhm.
way
Sure,
they
true.
would be against each other unless it was like some sort of civil case.
Right.
So I would wager that it would be something like when she is out at night for whatever reason, trying to like superhero, right? Then that might be a thing. I don't know. It's a
'Cause
good question. I have no idea how he shows up.
the scene that we know where he exists, it looks as if he's like jumping into a thing, like into an arena and doing the superhero landing. I don't know why. I don't know what the fuck the purpose is. Unless she's like patrolling or out on the town. I don't know. I don't know
I
what it
don't
is.
know if they would have enough time to do this, but what I would love is if she gets into trouble and she retains him as her defense attorney.
Oh, maybe.
That'd
You
be super
know?
funny.
I I think it would be so cute, if, like if, like, like, she gets into some trouble or something like that, or she can't take a case, and she's like, "Well, let me see who else could do this," and, like, that's how she ends up, like, retaining him or referring Frogman to him or something like that and being like,
Mhm.
"Listen, I've got this Emil case," and then they run into each other outside of court, and obviously everyone knows who She-Hulk is, which is what I love about her
Yeah,
interplay
there's no
with
secret
Daredevil.
identity. Yeah.
Yeah, like, he knows who she is, but I wonder if, like, she gets a case she can't take or something like that, and we already have the history now that Matt Murdock is Spider-Man's lawyer technically, right?
Yeah.
Um, so his connection through Happy and everyone is not that
Maybe she's
far
trying to
from.
recruit him into the law
Yeah,
firm as part of her team or something.
I don't know if a part of her team, but I think that's where Frogman's gonna come in. I feel like, uh Matt is defending Frogman. I don't know
Hmm.
where that thread is gonna be yet, but my prediction is, like, either she's gonna retain him or consult with him to take on this case because I feel like her main focus is gonna be Emil.
For the
I
season.
think it would be silly, yeah, I think it would be silly if she didn't, because 'cause we've got, what, 4 episodes left? That's an
No,
hour of
it's
content.
there's 9 episodes in the season,
Oh, there's 9
or
episodes,
nine or
okay,
eight. It's either 8 or 9. I forget.
Oh boy, now I gotta look this up.
I want it's
'cause
it's one of
we're
the two.
2 down, right?
Yeah, yeah. We've got 6 or 7 more weeks for sure of the show.
Okay.
It doesn't end until October.
Oh, cool. If we still even if we have 6 more weeks, though, that's still only 2 hours.
Yeah,
October 13th is the last episode.
got
Okay, maybe, like, 2.5 hours.
it. Yeah,
But I don't see her wrapping up Emil's case and then doing this case twice. Or, like, doing 3 other cases.
it could
I
be
think,
quick
like,
though. Like they could do that in one episode, especially if Wong's there as
they've
the
been
like.
fast about it.
Yeah, if Wong's there as like the caretaker, he could be the key witness. Says like, oh, blah blah blah, he helped me do X Y Z. Or they're doing the court case, and then halfway through the court case, someone breaks them out of prison. It's Thunderbolts, and they're like, "Oh, guess we'll have to go see that movie or some bullshit." And they move on to whatever's next, right? If
Do you
She-Hulk just
think that
turns into
Thunderbolts is gonna be a post-credit scene?
a um
'Cause they've been doing
I mean, at this
post-credit
point,
scenes
you've got
for
me
all the
thinking that there's gonna be like the head
maybe
lawyer office guy is gonna be like, hello, and pull off a mask and like I'm
Maybe.
convinced that's totally true now.
Could be. There
I
is a
would love
post.
for him to be a Skrull.
There's a post credit episode. I can't fucking talk. A post credit scene every episode. Bronze,
Right.
so that we will get something down the line. I don't know if this is the place to introduce Thunderbolts, though. It might be the place to tease it. But
Yeah.
You can just have Elaine show up. Valentina can pop in and be like,
I'll take care of him or something.
Yeah, I think that's a fine scene. It sets that up, and that it can be quick, and they've already done it a few times. So
Yeah,
She's also like
know.
a vulture. She goes after people when they're at their lowest, which is why I
Right.
truly think Jen is gonna lose the case with Emil.
Mm.
And then, yeah, like I think that's gonna happen. I don't know if Matt's gonna be against her as
I'm really curious to know how he fits into it.
he's not that type of attorney. Like I don't
Yeah.
see him making a case against Emil because that's not his like area of expertise. We've never seen him like represent the Hell's Kitchen and sue someone. That's not he's usually the opposite.
It could just be something as simple as like they're both lawyers and they're both superheroes, so he wants to meet her or something, and that's it.
But would he admit he was a superhero to her?
I don't think so. I don't think he's
Neither
gonna
do I.
reveal his identity to her. And I don't think she's gonna be able to clock it because
Maybe.
no one ever does because, he's a blind man. No one ever thinks that he's the Daredevil because they have this preconceived idea of what his abilities are,
Right.
Yeah.
And no, there's no way he could be running around at night. I think he's gonna know exactly who she is, and she's gonna have no clue.
Yeah, she
Well,
really
then
has no way to know. You're right.
No, then the question becomes: do we need Matt Murdock to show up in this show,
Or just Daredevil.
could it just be Daredevil?
Could be. Be kind of cool.
Where it just sets up Daredevil exists in this universe, and we don't need to see Matt Murdock because we know Matt is around because he has to be. So what if it's just Daredevil?
Yeah. It could just be
Yeah,
Daredevil,
it
and
could
then
be
maybe
Daredevil.
and then maybe he is like just literally walking by while she's going to court or something, and that's it. No conversation. It's just a blind lawyer walking around.
Well, okay, Galaxy Brain. We know that a good reason why Matt has probably changed his suit is because the last suit was used by Bullseye to defame him.
Right.
What
Right.
if Matthew Murdock goes to She-Hulk and talks about his client, Daredevil, and asks her to clear his name?
Is that a legal
that
thing?
could be
Yeah,
done.
maybe. Yeah, we kind of
But
talked about that last
Or help
episode.
him, because it could be one of those things, and then he's like, "I would like you to meet with, like, someone I'm consulting with who's had
What
his
if
name."
what if She-Hulk
The
says,
smirk.
"Why don't you meet my friend Tatiana? She's a super influencer. You can go on TikTok."
I don't know, I just think
Clear
it might be
your
one of those
name.
things where, like, I feel like Matt would approach Jen and then meet her again as
Yes,
Daredevil.
they're probably gonna do something like that. I would think.
Yeah,
I actually think it's
but
the
I can
reverse.
see him
One way or the other. Yeah.
I think it would
You
be
think
like
it's
they
reverse?
meet as superheroes, and then he knows he can trust her because she's like a good person, rather than just like a superhero influencer. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, and then he can show up as Matt and be like, "Hey, yeah, no, I saw you were in the newspaper, and you seem like a good person," like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, she is building a team though at this law firm, right? Like that's where so she has to hire lawyers at some point, doesn't she?
If at the end it was she hires Matt Murdock, I wouldn't be upset
I think that'd be awesome.
at all. I wouldn't be upset by that at all. I'd be like, okay,
Even if it's like he's on her team, but like you don't like the Daredevil show has zero reference to that, or you just see the same building and you never see She-Hulk, or I don't know. Like they don't have
He
to.
clearly has an interest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, he wrapped Spider-Man after his mask was ripped off.
Right.
Like,
Now,
that means
the question
he's
becomes: is
physically
does
taking
he?
the superhero's face?
He doesn't
Like,
remember
Does he
that.
remember that
though? Yeah, does he remember
he
that?
doesn't remember it, but the moral compass is there where we know that he has an
Sure.
interest in that, right? Like, I understand that, like, he doesn't even know Peter Parker is
Do we-
Spider-Man anymore, but the fact that he took the case in the first place kind of tells us a little something about
Do we even
his.
know how he got into that bronze?
No,
Like, we have
we
no idea
don't.
where the reference came from, right?
Maybe
Question:
he already
where's the
works in
timeline?
Holloway.
Yeah, where's the timeline in this? Was Shang-Chi before
It's taking. Oh wait.
Spider-Man?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Because I think like if the video, if we're gonna assume that maybe, even though this is timey-wimey nonsense, maybe She-Hulk takes place while all those movies are happening.
Takes place at the same time
Is it
as
possible
Shang-Chi, for sure.
that Matt Murdock is recommended because he works at the law firm with her, and that's why he gets chosen? So that scene
That would make
is
sense.
because if
That would be really
Shang-Chi's
cool.
before, then that video, because you can't imagine someone sending that video for like a year or whatever and then released it.
Yeah.
They probably did it right away. So maybe that just happened. And if it just happened and that was before Spider-Man, then it's potential that Matt Murdock could be part of the law firm and working with Jen when.
At the end, though, if it just happened at the end of Shang-Chi, Hulk's arm is in a sling, remember? It's in the sling that happens at the beginning of She-Hulk. So is that a fuck up in continuity?
Is his arm in a sling at the
In the post-credit
He's
scene.
in the yeah. So this has to be sometime after.
I guess, yeah.
It's definitely after, but it could be it's after Shang-Chi, but could be before Spider-Man, potentially.
Yeah. They'll have to address that one way or the other, or at least clue the viewer in on like time-wise when it happens.
Assuming again
Wasn't
that
his
it's Matt
arm in a
Murdock
sling at the
it's
beginning of this show too, though.
Yeah, that's
No.
what yeah, it was. That's the sling he's using in the car. Remember? Because they give the throwaway references to how it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and his arm was in a sling. Was it? Are you saying it's not in a sling at the end of Shang-Chi?
It is. When he's in the post-credit scene, when he's looking at
He's there.
the bracelet or whatever, or sorry, the
Mhm.
I
it's
see
a
what you're
bracelet, right?
saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying because it's like, well, if this took place before, then his arm would have been healed by the end of Shang-Chi. I get what you're saying.
Because that thing gets destroyed. Its prototype is. I remember him saying that in the first episode, but it gets destroyed in the car crash, which is why he turns into the whole
Right.
blah 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 blah. Because he gets injured.
Oh my god. That's pretty funny. Watch the leaker is Tatiana. That'd be Titania. That'd be cool. That'd be pretty funny if she's like all the things she's doing is just trying to get back at her. She's doing it in like the shittiest manner possible.
So is she the big bad then?
I think the idea of a big bad is a misnomer. I like the idea of like she's just a nuisance.
A nuisance. Yeah, that's a better way to say
Yeah,
it.
where she's like, I made you. You owe me like that kind of. I think her not being a big bad and just being a pain in the ass would be hilarious.
The She-Hulk Twitter had a video where she was like putting up images on top of the She-Hulk banner. So she definitely has something against her.
Definitely gonna be. Titania is one of this once again a joke from the Slot comics where She-Hulk jokes and says, or She-Hulk says, "Great, like I needed to add somebody else to my rogues gallery." And I think it's Iron Man. Someone says, "What gallery?" And she's like, Titania, and they're like, "Who?" So I love the idea of like in her mind, her first villain is like, oh, I've got this rival that's always trying to thwart me, Titania.
Yeah.
Because I feel like your first villain should be that.
Yeah.
Just be annoying. I don't think you need Doctor Doom to be your first villain. Like She-Hulk is new. She doesn't even know how her powers work. She doesn't know if she wants to be a villain yet. We don't need a newer dimension threatening to end reality. Why not have a villain that's on her level? You know?
Oh man, I love that that's become the bar now. We don't need a Nor dimension. Get that shit out of here.
No, because that shit drove me crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
In retrospect, it is fucking stupid. It's straight stupid. It's such a like
completely destroyed her character progression.
Yes.
She went from being this bumbling teenager that was reminiscent of Peter Parker and Miles Morales to like this person that suddenly knows how to use all of her powers overnight.
I really
saved
feel
her own grandma bronze.
I really feel that the whole Nord dimension thing is only there because it's going to be brought up again in the Marvels. That's the only reason.
It'll never be. like the man in the ocean will be relegated to being in like Nor Dimension. Is it real on the side of a webpage in like a future episode of She-Hulk?
Are you gonna bring it up as much as possible when they're gonna mention
the Nor Dimension? No, I'm all right. I'm all right.
You're
if we
good
forget
with
that
that
shit.
one. You can let that one go.
No, I'm all right.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
fine.
That shit was crazy. It's crazy to me they didn't nix it when they saw those like graphic effects of those crystals spreading out. It's crazy to me they weren't like, maybe we should cut this entire storyline and
Man.
just do a much smaller story of Kamala helping her friend become, on the council of the mosque and fighting Signal or whatever their name is into not violating the mosque's like rules regarding shoes and stuff, and like have that storyline of her navigating her crush and like that would have been so much of a better
The
show,
dude,
and her
the
trying
girl
to
at
clear the
school,
name of Nightlight,
Yeah.
being like,
the girl
well,
at
because
school
like,
who was like awful to her. That was a
yeah,
perfect foil
that
for
was a great
a high school
villain.
teen.
Oh,
Yes, that's a
man.
great villain for a
We're not
teenager.
doing this again.
It really is.
I'm stopping the
It's a great
conversation.
villain.
We're not gonna turn this
But I
into another
but I
episode
think,
about
like,
Miss Marvel.
the reason the parallel is also coming up is, like, Titania's aversion, I think. We're gonna see what that villain could have been.
Mm.
'Cause
Right.
why like, a teenager with a phone that's trying to ruin your life and knows your secret identity can 100% be a villain.
Yeah.
Right.
Nuisance villain,
Yes.
whatever
Like,
you want to throw in there.
if
Yeah.
if Zoe had connected the dots and decided, "You know what? I'm gonna ruin this bitch's life," that could have been a really cool, really interesting storyline for like, a villain for her. It would've been a great first villain, and I love that I hope that we really get that with Titania, where it's like, her first villain is kind of
It's
just
so
shitty.
That'd be
Shitty
so
so
on
villain.
insulting.
so on par for the show too if they did that.
It's like so
It's just,
insulting
like,
that
ruining
you're
her life.
Yeah.
Ron, you're absolutely correct. Like the idea of her, that girl was her friend, and suddenly they didn't become friends anymore because she went with the more popular kids, and now
Yes.
Miss Marvel is more popular than she is, and so she hates Miss Marvel. Like
Yeah.
literally, it writes itself.
Right there. The
It-
story was right there.
It's right, and the fact that like you could even do a like they have a heart-to-heart conversation about the whole situation, how they used to be best friends. Like it's all
Mm.
there. It's so simple, and the fact that that was like, no, we have got
You could have even
the
had
Nor
a
Dimension
cool
is so insulting.
meta commentary on
Yes.
popularity and the cost of fame, because like you could have had this thing where when Signal picks her up and is like, "So Miss Marvel tried to kill you," instead of her being like, "What? No, that's not what happened." Her being like, "Yeah, she did." Like, because then it would have been this
Yes.
cool thing where it's like, "I'm gonna be famous from this." And you coulda had this cool storyline with, like, Bruno and Kamala trying to stop her from leaking the information, because if they do, they're gonna come down on the temple and, like, yeah, it could have been a really cool story.
And if they really, really wanted to do a partition storyline and they wanted to like show off Pakistan and do the whole like that is clearly a season 2 story. Like that is all
Yeah.
right, we have our character, we have her growth, she is learning her powers, and then in season 2, she now has enough power that we can then send her to go find like the Jedi Master of the Nor Dimension who dies and like give him a season. I'm so pissed that dude was
No.
such a good actor, and they're like, and he's dead. I will never get over that. I'm so mad
That
that they
is
were like, we
literally
found
probably 'cause they couldn't get him for more, because he's actually, like,
He's
a
huge.
popular actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
probably
then
super
that's
big.
why
and I'm sure that, like, they were like, "Okay, we've got him for 1," you know? I love
Hate it.
this comment from my chat.
Not
"Bron,
cool.
stop
I love that
improving
guy.
things." I can't help it.
Stop what?
improving
Fatal wrote,
things.
"Bron, stop improving things."
Oh, improving
Like,
things.
I can't help
Improving
it.
Bronze is
I could
dangerous. You don't
Yeah.
mess with bronze because bronze will get you very excited for honestly
she's a
lies.
Look, she's a
Lies.
tough friend to have, Jesse, if we're really honest. She
Yeah,
hypes
bronze will be
everything
like, so
up.
here's an idea I had.
and, like,
It's
how
very
good it
good.
could
I can't wait
be.
for Marvel to do it.
Yeah.
And then they won't. And then I'll have to sit here and be like, thanks, Bronze. That was
Yeah.
so nice.
Bronze
Watch
is
my
the
Come
D&D
up with that
I
idea.
guess.
Bronze is the friend that would like hype up how excited your life could be, exciting your life could be, and then the reality hits afterwards when she leaves, and it's not. It's never going to be that
Bronze
good. Jesse.
Bronze is the living, breathing story about EVE Online.
Yeah.
Everything you say
It's
is
true.
so hype,
Bronze-
and then when I
Bronze
actually
is EVE
experience
Online.
it, I'm
That's
like,
exactly correct.
this sucks. Why am I? You told me this is gonna be
What's
amazing.
funny is I know exactly what you're talking about because I love hearing people talk about their exploits in EVE Online, but I'm not
No,
sure
you're
I
not
can
going to play
play
it.
it.
You're not. No one plays
I've
it.
tried to
You just,
play it,
yeah.
but hearing stories of like, "So let me tell you about the greatest
Oh,
heist in
they're
EVE Online
incredible.
history." I'm like, "I'm here. I'm
They're
here for
incredible.
this."
Every like year you get some crazy story about how some motherfucker infiltrated a group for like 2 years and then stole all this money that equates to like $1 million USD. And you're like, man, that sounds great. Then you download the game and like somehow Excel shows up on your computer when you hit play. You're like, what the fuck is this? That game is so crazy that they actually have partnered with Microsoft officially to use Excel within the game. That's how much that game is like is a spreadsheet simulator. That's where they're at.
Chat is saying,
Anyways,
this podcast has the same trouble Jesse's Star Wars podcast had.
what's
Jesse, are
that?
you the Star Wars equivalent of me?
Uh-oh.
Do you present amazing
on my
ideas
Star
and
Wars
then they don't happen?
Oh, I mean, yeah. When it comes to Star Wars, our entire podcast, we had to stop because we got like we're coming back with old canon, which is gonna be great.
Ooh.
But we had to stop covering all the new stuff because we get so upset that we would sit down, we read a book, and we'd be like, I can't wait for what's next. Here's what we think is gonna happen based on all the stuff. And it would never pan out that way and be like 10 times worse. And we'd have to come back and do a review, like, so what we thought was gonna happen was this, and what happened was this, and now we're all just mad that we got hyped up over a thing. And we don't literally we had to stop.
Was the episode just
'cause we
bickering?
the episode, the Rise of Skywalker episode,
Ooh.
was longer than the movie.
Well, yeah, okay.
It was like 4 hours of us losing our minds. And I will say that like it killed us. We were like, I can't just yell all the time. So we decided to go back and only read. We started with the 1976 novelization of Star Wars, and we're gonna read through everything from the old shit forward, just and not touch anything new. Just so we can't fight. It's like it exists. It doesn't matter. Let's have fun. That's where we're at mentally because like I can't handle being like, here's what I think's gonna happen next. No, I'd rather just be like, I know what happens. I know Chewbacca gets hit by a new. What?
If y'all ever do the new Marvel comics, invite me. Like High Republic and all that stuff. I'm reading all of it.
I just want to say, even though I complain about new Star Wars a lot, Dr. Aphra is my favorite damn thing in the entire world. I love Dr. Aphra.
I love Dr. Aphra, and I love her murderous Wookiee.
Whoa.
He was in a Mando season, whatever. The most recent thing.
Oh, the Book of Boba Fett?
Mando?
Oh, that's him, yeah.
I never finished Book of Fett. I'm sorry. I was so excited for that show. I was like screaming when I saw the trailer. And then I watched like the first 3 episodes and I was like, or maybe 2 episodes, and I was like, I can't. I'm sorry, girl. Bye.
I thought it was all right. It got better towards the end.
It gets way better towards the end because it has nothing to do with Boba Fett.
Yeah.
By the end, it's not about Boba Fett.
It's not about Boba Fett at all. Really.
Crazy.
Like
I'm gonna have to watch it for the murder Wookiee.
Is that 4 episodes in and Boba Fett is not even mentioned?
He's not even like there's an episode where he's not even in it.
He's not even in it. Yeah. It's an entire Mando episode basically in the middle of Boba Fett.
But I will say
I'm not gonna lie, some of the anger was like them coming back to the same fucking 3 planets where I was like, Tatooine, fucking kidding me? Like I was literally
again.
They go to some different planets. Yeah.
Okay, so I need to continue.
Oh, you're right.
All right. I guess you guys have successfully gotten me to continue watching.
Bronze, they literally go to Halo.
That's true. Yeah, they go to the Halo world. Yeah. However, Bronze, I will say this, and me and Jesse have to prep you for this. Get ready for the stupidest fight choreography scene move you've ever seen in cinema history. Okay? I'm not going to tell you what it is. Yeah, we're not going to tell you what it is. I'm just preparing you. It is the stupidest thing you have ever seen in film.
How dare you, JP? That was super cool.
No.
That was the coolest move anyone has ever done. You're wrong.
When it happened, I had to pause because I was laughing uncontrollably for like 5 minutes after. It was so stupid.
That isn't what got me. What got me was the extra slow, like speeder chase. The like very slow, like.
Don't spoil for
Y'all are not selling this. Y'all are not.
It's just one moment. It's just one moment where you're just like, what? Like for some reason, I don't know what happened. I felt like all the writers went to go use the restroom, and one person was like, "I'm just gonna add this in there." And they're not gonna say shit or anything. It's fucking good. And then they came back and they just forgot. They didn't like proofread it or anything. It's stupid.
It's funny, I
really
haven't
bad.
finished a lot of things because I don't watch stuff I'm not enjoying and then
That's
rant
weird.
about
How
how much
come
I
the
hate
rest of
it.
the internet doesn't do that, Bronze? That's such a
I don't
strange.
know. People act like on this show that, like, I'm a hater, and I'm like, "No, the only reason I continued watching it is because we had the
We gotta
show.
talk about it. Yeah.
Otherwise, if I
Right.
disliked the show this much, I would just stop because I'm not on that hater shit. I'll go watch
Yeah.
something I like,
Yeah.
you know? I was watching I'm trying to remember what show I was watching. I was like, "Nah, girl." And I ended up just watching Lincoln Lawyer because JP recommended it,
Let's
and then I
go.
binge watched that in, like, 2 days, and I
Super
was like,
bingeable.
this
Very
is really
bingeable.
this is a very likable fucking show, and there's no more. I
Yeah.
don't know why I binged it.
Yeah.
But just one last time, a reminder to everyone watching right now. You want to read some of the best Star Wars comic you've ever read. Dr. Aphra, so good. Evil Indiana Jones. I'm just to put it out there. Evil Indiana Jones works for Darth Vader, is pretty okay with being murdered by Darth Vader, has their own comic, two evil
Yeah.
droids that are like evil R2D2 and C3PO that want to kill every
Very
human that ever exists.
Nice.
It is so funny and so good, I must
I'm
say.
working on a Dr. Aphra cosplay knowing full and well most people, unless I go to Star Wars Con, will not know who I'm dressed as.
I will know who that is, and I am so sorry that I will be like a little oogly. My bad. My bad. But I'm letting you know in advance.
Now I just need someone to dress up as Chrysanthemum or whatever his name is. Black Chrysanthemum, the Wookiee, the
Oh my
murder Wookiee.
god.
Wait,
Just
this
put me in like the
person's a
little
bad.
droid body.
Dr. Afra's a bad person? She looks so like not bad.
Dr. Aphra is a bad Dr.
That's
Aphra is
what
an
I like about
anti-hero.
her. That's what I
Yeah.
Oh
like
yeah,
about
she's
her.
definitely
Every
unless
time
I think this is
you
fan
have, like, a
fiction.
minority woman in a role, they're like, "They have to be perfect and infallible. We can't write them the way we write everyone else because they're our token diversity." And with Dr. Aphra, they're like, "Nah, man, we're gonna make a dope ass character who just happens to be a woman of
She
color."
looks
And I
cool.
was like,
She's very
"Okay,
cool.
work."
She is like she is, if you can imagine, if Han Solo had no redeemable qualities and was also an archaeologist. Like
Mhm.
that's pretty much
Ah.
it's like evil Indiana Jones. She's so good.
Apparently she's getting
I
a
got
show.
I got mad when the show got announced because it was one of those books that, like, was really easy for me to get. Now I've added it to my subscription box, but before that, I would just go in the comic store and pick them up. Now I have fucking, I have gaps in my collection because out of nowhere that comic took off, and I don't know, like, how that happened. So I have the graphic novel and the singles, but I'm like, the first 20 are in perfect alphabetical order, and then it just jumps around, and I'm like, "I can't believe these are gonna be
There is
impossible to find now."
there is a scene where like some dude is just like, "Wait, you work for Darth Vader?" And she's like, "Yeah, yeah." It's so good because it's just like she's like, "One bad day and I'm dead." But like, here I'm stuck. What do you want me to do? It's
Oh,
like so much fun.
they're gonna reportedly get Chloe Bennett to play her. That was Quake and Agents of Shield. She was good. She looks like her
I
too.
mean, I guess that could work. I guess I could see that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's who I would
Mm.
cast, but I can see
Yeah, I
it.
don't
Yeah.
know if I would cast her either.
She was fine. I don't know anything about the character, but as an actress, she was fine as Quake. She was cool. She also dated one of the Paul brothers, though, I think. So
Chloe, she does look like her. I will say that, but
yes,
I don't know.
I don't know that she
I don't
has
know if that's
the
what.
screen presence.
why not?
I mean, I guess we'll find out if she can. Like again,
You
it
know
comes
who would
down to
make
its
a great,
attitude.
a great freaking Afra? What's her first name? Mid Thunder from Prey and from, our favorite
Oh,
show,
Yo, 100%
Legion.
agree.
She could fucking do it. I'm telling
Yeah,
you, they need to ditch Chloe and do what's her
I don't know.
fucking
I don't know if that was reported recently or if that's years old or what. But yeah, it could work.
cat,
Could
let me
work.
know. I forgot
that would
her
be
first name,
very cool. I think she'd be
but
fantastic as that.
she killed it in
Is it
Legion.
Amber?
I think it is Amber, yeah. She in Legion, she does play that, like, very cool, like, murderous kind of character that exits that
Yeah.
dude's body,
Yeah.
like, in Prey, she fucking killed it too. I think, like, she could definitely do Afro. I really do think she could do Afro.
I feel like the Afra casting is like it's the characters around Afra that I'm worried about. Like you can make evil droids awful, like really bad on. Like I don't want another. Like there's a difference between R2 and 3PO of the original trilogy, and then of like in Clone Wars, like, oh no, R2, there's clones everywhere. Oh, like that shit sucked. So like, and like R2 flies away, like boop, 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 and they're like a factory doing like a shtick. Like, nah, that's garbage. So you can
You want
like,
IG-11?
I mean, like, there's a good way of doing like, oh, these are bad, like
Okay,
bad
Darren DePaul
droids.
in Knights of the Old Republic
Yeah, like
with
they're
the
like HK-47
die,
or whatever his name is.
bag, like that type.
Could work.
That is
They should just
100%
have Darren DePaul do it. Just have Darren DePaul do the droids.
great.
And they'll be
Done.
great.
Easy.
Could
Would be
work.
amazing. Yeah, the whole goof is they're just like they murder for the sake of like the comedy of murder, which is insane, but it's hilarious. When you read what they're doing, you're like, I can't believe they just like killed those people, but the way they did it was so funny. And it's like messed up. It's messed up. And if they
I
could
feel like
reproduce
that's a
that,
good show. This feels like you're selling me on this, that it's a good TV show.
yeah, and then you have this
I
giant
don't know if it'll be a
Wookiee.
good TV show, but it's
Well,
a good comic.
It has the makings of a fun media.
It's a
watch
fantastic
or
comic.
read.
And
Yeah.
there's a few short stories with her as well that are equally good, where she just like messes with the Empire and also messes with the rebellion, and she like messes. She doesn't give a shit, and I love her for it. Again, like if
There you
Han
go.
Solo was full on Han Solo, it's she's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love her.
I'll have to check it out. I didn't know about her till you guys mentioned her. So, Dr. Ephra. Did either of you watch the Game of Thrones stuff yet?
The what?
The Game of Thrones stuff? Are you waiting on that?
I'm waiting. Everyone said to check it
Okay.
out, but I'm a
Episode
hard
2 was
waiter
last
on
night.
this.
Here's what I'll say about episode 2. Is real fucking disgusting when it comes to the fact that they have like a 60-year-old king courting a 12-year-old girl on screen. And you're like, well, he's not like doing it while approving of it. He's like also disgusted at the same time. And so you're just like,
I'm out. JP,
what the
JP,
fuck is
question,
going on?
Is it more or less disgusting when the older woman was seducing the younger boy in original Game of Thrones?
Well, I'm trying to, I don't remember that moment. What moment was this?
When she like, when what's her face? My brain just died. When Joffrey dies, she's like, well, I got to get on with Tommen.
Oh,
And then she goes,
right.
and he's like a kid, dude.
It's
like,
about the same.
You know,
it's about the same.
I imagine it's
because
Marjorie, Marjorie Tyrell,
the king needs a wife at that point too, because he doesn't have an heir, and so like someone says, why don't you wife my 12-year-old daughter? And it's just fucking.
Yeah, that
No,
sounds.
Game
I
of
mean, that
Thrones
sounds like Game of
is-
Thrones.
It's fucking a big yikes.
You just be doing weird shit.
It's
in
I mean
that.
that
But it's
shit.
also-
Look, here's the thing. That shit happened.
It
back in-
happened.
I mean, that was a real deal in medieval times. Like, people are
Yeah,
fucking
but do
disgusting.
I want to watch it?
Yes, because there is probably in episode 2, probably the coolest cinematography shot I think in the entirety of Game of Thrones occurs. It's a fucking shot where you're
I'll
just
check
like,
it out.
ooh,
I think I just have like really mixed feelings about Song of Ice and Fire, because like
sure.
when you go back to fantasy, you have the opportunity to like not do some stuff like pedophilia and shit like that, and
They
rape and
changed
slavery.
in Game of Thrones. They changed the ages of a lot of people because of that reason.
Yeah,
Like the
it's
actual
fucking
show.
reading, because my main context, like I was saying, because I only watched up to I think like season 3 of the show, but I've read the books. Is like, man, it's for those of you who haven't. I don't know if I could recommend them. They're great, but like there are just like chapters of like Daenerys essentially, in my opinion, being coerced into sex with Drago, whatever his name.
Oh yeah,
is.
she's 13 in the books, and he's 30.
Yeah,
it's fucking disgusting.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's fucking
It's uncomfortable, and
terrible.
there's like pages of describing her brother like tweaking her nipples and shit like that. And reading it, like I was like, is George R. R. Martin okay? Because like you wrote that, you sat down and wrote, Viserys grabs Daenerys' breast
Oh,
harshly,
God.
feels it through her thin shirt, and I was like, why are you writing?
He does
a
have
whole
a thing for
paragraph
like
her
extra
nipples?
long
Like,
descriptors. He loves
He
to spend like
described
45 minutes on a
leather
table.
jerkin the leather jerkin she wears when she's riding with what are those
Khal
people called? Yeah, what is his group called? The Call or no, who's the Call?
Kalasar or whatever it is.
Yeah, when she's riding with them, she wears their leather armor,
Yeah.
and he literally describes it chafing her nipples. Dothraki, thank you. And I was
there
like,
you go, Dothraki.
I was like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need to go beat off before you continue writing this? Like, who the fuck is sitting there like, oh gosh?" Because remember, it's told from the point of view of the character. Oh gosh, this leather armor is really chafing my nipples. But like, none of the male characters are like, oh gosh, this armor is really rubbing against my balls, really pinching my balls right now. But the female characters will have lines like that, and I'm like, why
Look,
are we talking about
bronze medieval
Daenerys'
times were different.
Yeah, bronze. Come on, you got to come on.
talking
It was a
about
different time.
Daenerys'
It was a different
nipples
time.
much? You know, I don't like. She's 12. I don't want to know what her nipples are like. I don't want to know
It was a
how
different time,
see-through her
bronze.
clothing is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me
Medieval
know if
times.
I'm
quick.
Let me know if I'm tripping.
It's like 100 years
'Cause
ago, man.
I
You know.
love like sci-fi fantasy. Okay, I love it. I like. I've been trying to make my way through time. I love Name of the Wind. I feel like I have to give my credentials now. But like, there's chapters in Song of Ice and Fire where I'm like, it says Daenerys at the top of the page because it always tells you which character you're reading from the point of view of. And I think it was like book 3. I was like, well, time to watch or time to read 8 pages of the Dothraki raping everybody for like 8 pages. And then we'll cut back to Jon Snow, I probably, you know?
Yeah.
And there were times I was so tempted to just like skip the chapter where I was like, this is just gonna be Daenerys being like, maybe rape is bad, and then being like, no, this is our way. And I'm just like, we get it, they rape. How many chapters do we need of women running through the streets naked while the warriors he describes all of it while the warriors grab her, pull her down, and women being raped by dogs and shit. Or it's crazy. It's crazy. And you're just like,
That's old
okay,
George. You know,
we
it's old
get
George.
it. We get it, George. And he's like, wait, new chapter. We got to talk about the rape again. And I'm like, oh my fucking God, dude. I get it.
That's old George,
It's
you
worse
know?
in book form.
But
It's worse in book
we've come a
form
long
'cause
way in
it's
society, though. That was like
paragraph
100 years
of
ago,
it.
right, JP?
Yeah, it was 100 years ago, Bronze. Like, it wasn't, it was a long time ago. You know?
I love that you broke out. That was like 100 years ago. Shit cracks me up.
When did JP say that?
While you were going off, he was like,
Yeah.
that was a long time ago. I'm like, yeah, that was like a while. And he's like, JP's like, that was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It was so good.
It's old George.
Oh,
He's
shit.
crazy. He writes more books. Anyways, episode 2 was good apart from the like weird thing of like, yeah, marry my 12-year-old daughter.
Great.
It's fucking
great.
I'm more excited for Rings of Power, even though people are in some hater
I'm excited
shit about
as fuck for that show. Yeah,
that
dude.
show looks insane.
Yeah,
like
They spent $1 billion
They spent
on that show.
$1 billion on that show.
If that
bro.
show isn't amazing after $1 billion, I'm gonna be so like $1 billion.
Dude,
Come on.
I'm gonna be chilling in my Gandalf attire on Friday, watching that. It's gonna be great. I'm gonna
be
excited.
co-streaming it, but I have to do a hashtag ad because I am partnering with Amazon for Amazon Gaming Week. So
nice.
sponsored co-stream of it.
I
But
had to
also
turn
want
that
to
down because
say
I'm taking time off, and I
I'm
hate you for that.
very excited.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I fucking love.
Are you?
Brilliant.
Are they giving you front page?
No.
Okay.
I don't think
I was
I'm
gonna
on
say that would be
yeah.
kind of bad if they were. Like you'd have to deal with a massive amount of.
I don't
bullshit.
want to deal with it.
Yeah,
If I offered it, I would say no.
Yeah.
Like I want to hang out with like my homies and watch this cool show. I do not want to deal with people being like wokeism at it. It's like, oh, shut up. No, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Who cares?
They put out
there's a dwarf without a beard. Shut the fuck up.
I haven't watched it yet. They put out a thing about Khazad-dûm or whatever, the dwarf shit today.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently it's really good.
We're getting into the lore that I like.
Yeah, they mentioned the fucking how the dwarves were made. They mentioned the goddamn gods.
Yeah. When people sit there and say, "Oh, well, Lord of the Rings is too like foo-foo, and you know, Game of Thrones is more gritty," I'm like, "Have you read Children of Hurin?" Like, there's a lot there that's not all like Elrond has to send his wife to across the ocean early because she's tortured and broken by Morgoth. Like she can no longer remain in Middle Earth, and you're gonna tell me it's too light. It's just too because I hear that from people all the time, like, well, Game of Thrones is so gritty. And I'm like, okay, just say you don't read books. It's fine. Like, but don't say that Lord of the Rings doesn't have amazing
Is
and bloody battles in it, because it does.
my assumption is this? I've been keeping like away from things for
Yeah.
this because I don't want to get too spoiled.
Okay.
My assumption is this is going to be post Morgoth defeat, end of First Age into Second Age.
Yes, I think that's
Is that
roughly
what
the
this
setting.
show is?
Yeah, and they're forging
Yeah.
the rings.
Which is fine by me because that's cool. It's a cool point in history.
I
Everyone's
don't-
like, we
lot
did
of
it. We
Galadriel
defeated
fighting.
evil.
A lot of Galadriel
Evil is
fighting.
defeated.
Yeah.
I do think at one point they're going to do the war for the Silmarils. Like,
Okay.
I do think at some point there's going to be like that storyline. I think it would be cool because some of those characters were cut from the original trilogy movies.
All
like the
Bombadil. Bombadil. Bombadil.
Dude,
We need an entire season called
I watched.
Bombadil.
We did the watch party for all 6 films over the weekend, and the entire time I was just like, "What if they put Bombadil in this?" You know, like if he just.
What
I
if,
was
though,
thinking of
dude?
Glorfindel, but it's okay. We could say Bombadil.
Yeah,
Or Bombadil.
I
They
want
both end
old
with
Bomby in
Dil.
there.
Or Bombadil.
Bombadil's just. I just want Bombadil walking
Is that
around
man
on
is he a
screen.
god? Is he the creator of the universe? Question.
He was
Isn't he
around
a
apparently.
character? I
What?
thought he was a self. I believe he is
That's a
Tolkien's
theory.
self-insert character.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a theory.
like it's the writer,
Yeah,
and that's
Right.
why
I
he's
think
like
so.
the ring has no effect on him, and he's like,
But also, is he God?
could be.
Put it out there, question.
Could be.
Is he God?
if you rearrange the letters in Tom Bombadil, you will see that.
Is he Asir?
You never know. You never know.
Put it out there.
What else? I'm trying to think if there's any other media that we need to discuss. Look, I'm on that West Wing rewatch. You know, it's now the 7th rewatch. We can talk about it if you guys want. It's good.
I'm on an Arrested Development rewatch.
I've never seen that show, and I know that's heresy, but I just can't vibe with like that show and like
I know.
Always Sunny. Like for whatever reason, I just shy away from watching them. I don't know why.
There's something
why.
about like the first 2 seasons, especially of Arrested Development, that I love, and then same with Parks and Rec. I feel like I rewatch.
Never,
Parks and Rec a
never
lot.
watched that. Never watched The Office. I couldn't.
It's crazy that you haven't seen Parks and Rec because Aaron
I know all
reminds
the
me of Leslie.
references. Oh, she is
Yeah,
Leslie
Aaron
Knope. She'll
reminds
tell
me
you.
of Leslie Knope.
She'll
big
tell you
time.
that she's
So, like,
Leslie Knope. Yeah,
it's
she loves that reference.
surprising to me, like, you haven't seen it because I'm like, but you married Leslie Knope.
Yeah, she reminds me of that of all time. Yeah. Sandman's good. I still haven't seen the 2 extra episodes, but that show's good.
Dude, Sandman is super good.
Yeah.
I was so
Sandman
impressed.
reminds us. I got this in-depth conversation about Sandman last night. Sandman reminds us what is so like just freaking unbeatable about the comic book pacing, because you have to finish off the last plot hook, further character development, and leave a hook to the next comic with the assumption that the reader is potentially not going to get the next comic for a month,
Yeah.
right? Because most of these are monthly comics. And because they modeled the show completely off of like the pacing of the comics, we get to see in real time why that fucking works. Like, because they resolve things so quickly. He doesn't spend the entire first season getting
Yeah.
his shit back. So that would have sucked to watch.
Right.
Things are resolved quickly because it runs off of the comic pacing, which is okay, we have to move this story forward, resolve the last thread we started, and create the beginnings of the next thread. And because of that, you get a show with brilliant pacing. I don't think it would work for every comic, but I think like that was my disconnect with the Walking Dead TV show versus the Walking Dead comic, where I was like, the pacing somewhere along the line got fucked up, and they couldn't because the comics are much better than the show. I know people are gonna be like, oh, then no, that show sucks. The comics are actually pretty.
There is an interview that I just watched recently where Neil Gaiman is talking about how they had some guy, I guess, try to pitch to them a movie of Sandman. And
years
he's like,
back,
it was
yeah.
the worst script I ever read. It was terrible. And when they called me, they're like, so did you read the script? And he's like, yes. And they're like, what'd you think? Pretty good, huh? He's like, it was the worst thing I've ever read. And he describes a part of it. And I had to look this up because it's
Is this the spider
insane to
thing?
me. It's first off, at one point they fight robot spiders, which is hilarious. But the plot is that it is, he says it had giant mechanical spiders in it, but he says, Lucifer, Morpheus, and the Corinthian were identical triplets. They were a family of identical brothers in a race to see who could get the ruby, the helm, and the bag of sand before midnight on 1999. That is a crazy plot. That is insane.
That sounds
That is
like
an insane.
That's what happens when you try to distill 8 hours of content into 90 minutes of movie.
yeah. That sounds like a mid-90s pitch right there. Like the guy just watched the fucking Crow and he's like, I've got a film idea.
And he
It's
said
just
he
started
said that the
writing.
reason why it
Wild
leaked on
Wild
Any
West.
Cool News.
There you go.
He said the reason why the script leaked is because he leaked it because it was so bad.
Oh. Makes sense.
Which is amazing. I can't believe someone pitched to him. I've taken all your characters, made them all triplets, played by the same character, I would imagine, and they all race against each other on like New Year's Eve, 1999.
I kind of want to see that. I kind of want to see that movie. I kind of want to see how bad.
No,
that movie is.
JP, no.
Look, I'm not saying you call it the Sandman. Call it like JP wants to see this movie, and then let me just see that movie.
The thing that's crazy to me is I wonder. I don't know if any of you. There was an old at this point it's old episode of How Did This Get Made, where they talk with Kevin Smith about
Clerks.
they're talking. I think they're talking. He's on when they're talking about. I think it's the X-Men movie where I actually no, it's Wild Wild West. Yes, in Wild Wild West, there's that giant mechanical spider.
Yeah.
And Kevin Smith tells the story about how there's some producer in Hollywood who his whole thing was he wanted to get a giant mechanical spider into shit. And he was terrible at like pitching movie ideas. Like one of the ideas he has in the X-Men movie, Wolverine and Sabretooth would be snowboarding down a mountain fighting. And he was like, this guy was terrible. And one of his things was he always wanted to try and fit robot spiders into shit. And he finally got one made in Wild Wild West. And that's where it came from. And so I wonder if this was the same guy.
Could have been.
Because a robot spider in Sandman makes no sense to me.
It makes sense in Wild Wild West.
This has to be this dude. Amazing.
Wonder if Wild Wild West
He
is any
kept
good.
pitching robot spiders. I love this stupid ass town. I can't believe this guy got away for years being like, all right, but what if we put robot spiders in it?
It's the same guy. It's always John
He wanted
Peters.
a giant robot spider in Superman 2. Shut up. That was his thing, robot spiders. I can't believe it.
Chad is saying it is the same producer. It's John Peters.
Is this person sounds like a Key and Peele character?
He was apparently Streisand's hairdresser turned producer. This gets even more interesting as I don't know if Chat's just like feeding me bullshit or if this is real, but I'm on board.
This man is a cryptid, is what I'm hearing.
He's into crypto? What?
He's a cryptid. Like he's not real.
Oh, okay.
He's just
everyone
a myth.
Everyone in chat is
perpetuated
confirmed
by
it's John
chat.
Peters. That's so funny. That he is like known as the robot spider guy. And the man got it. He finally got what he wanted. They made a whole movie where the villain had a giant robot spider in the end. I mean, like, he got it. He got there. Lived the dream.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Jess, anything you want to bring up that you've been watching?
No, man, I'm good.
All right. We can close out the show. The show. We can't do our big fucking bet anymore, man. We like hyped that up last episode and then She-Hulk they just put it out there. It was just man in the fucking ocean.
They did it. They did what they did it, and I'm so proud they did.
Did you guys get a billion tweets on Thursday morning that had happened?
I got so many tweets. I was like, no, I saw it. Oh, I saw.
I didn't watch it till last night because I was so upset that like so many people, I was like, I'm not going to watch this until I'm ready. Stop asking me if I've seen it. There's so many
Loved it. I was so pleased. So many people. The thing is so many people, I think, were just happy someone said something, even if it was like in the corner of a screen.
Yeah. That's how it went. All right, let's do some shout outs and call it a show for like 2, maybe 4 weeks, something like that. I don't know when we're going to be back. I'll let you guys know. Let's do some shout-outs. Bronze, what do you got going on for the month of September? Get it out there. What's happening?
Oh, yeah. We're not coming back for a while.
Yeah.
Hi. Hello. I guess I'll miss you guys.
Oh,
For the month of September. But yeah, we're partnering with Amazon Gaming Week. We're going to be watching the first 2 episodes of Rings of Power on stream. Very excited for that. What else am I up to? My Kickstarter for an upcoming full South Asian casted D&D actual play is live. Well, no, it's in the pre-save phase, called DesiQuest, DesiQuest. I'm partnering with Sandeep Parekh. You might know him from Legend of Neil and The Guild, and Anjali Bhimani and Rekha Shankar, and we're making like a really high quality shot in studio 6-part or maybe more actual play series. So check that out. You don't even need to give us money yet. You can just pre-save it. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna be streaming on my normal-ish schedule. So prepare to see me around. We're gonna try to beat Cult of the Lamb probably tonight or tomorrow.
Nice.
That's me.
Nice. Jesse, what do you got going on?
well, I probably shouldn't complain about Amazon so much when I realized that I probably could have been watching Lord of the Rings and getting paid for it. But like, whatever, that's fine. That's
I
fine.
turned that down for vacation.
It's fine. Well, at least you got the option.
I should have
Me,
given
I'm
you
over here
the-
like Jeff Bezos is a piece of garbage.
They wanted
Now
me
I'm like,
to-
I wonder why they don't contact me.
They wanted me to cook as well, though, and I was like, I don't want to fucking cook.
Well, they don't even ask. So
Yeah.
anyway, hey, if you want to be a big Final Fantasy 14 nerd, I just released a video today that's all theory crafting. I get to do that now.
Nice.
Very excited about that. Huge fan.
Welcome to the fandom.
I know. It's great. And yeah, we're gonna have the usual news stuff and some streams this week. I too need to finish every game. But Call of the Lamb is one of the games I started and it was a ton of fun, and I probably should get on finishing that. And yeah, look, I got a lot of stuff to do and not a lot of time to do it. So come hang out with me while I try to figure out my life.
Boom. I don't want to. I'm not following that. I'm not following that. Actually, I'm done. I'm not going to.
It's but like you're in charge. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, but
you can do the smooth move.
Look,
JP, can I help you out here?
Good. What's the transition out of as you?
I got you. No, I got you.
Figuring out your life. What? Let's hear.
I'm gonna give you the win.
Okay.
Well, Bronze and I are talking about us. You say, and also, instead of giving a shout out to myself today, I want to give a shout out to the fans. Thanks for watching. Thanks for showing up every Monday. You're the reason we get to do this.
That's how you win.
That's how you win. Every time. That's a victory. But then put you here. Put your face here. I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Put yourself there. Yeah. And then lip
Shout out
sync.
to the fans. I just want to say thank you for watching and tuning in every Monday to this amazing show. Sure, we're going to be off for a little bit because I need to take some time for myself. I have a severe drug problem and the gout. And it turns out that has led to massive erectile dysfunction, and I need to take 3 or so weeks to really sort myself out. And I hope that when I come back, we'll be ready to talk about Marvel again. And I'm really excited because then we'll have so much She-Hulk to discuss with you, our amazing audience, and me with my giant but unusable penis.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back in a couple weeks. I don't know. We might not after that. We might just be canceled.
Sorry for my giant flaccid penor.
Guys, we gotta go.
Jesse's weird flex, but okay, JP. Like, whatever. I mean, like, all right.
Oh, God. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. You can follow us on Twitter. We'll let you know ahead of time when we're going to be back. I would say no time before maybe the 19th, but maybe also the 26th, but maybe also the 3rd. Somewhere in there. One of those Mondays. We'll see.
Hey, take as much time as you need. You know?
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
I know you tweeted that you were apprehensive about taking time off, but I bet as soon as you
terrifying.
get into that groove, you're going to feel like,
Or it's going to be the opposite, Or it's going to be
No,
like,
no. Shut it all down. Shut it down. Don't even think about streaming. Just have a good
We'll see.
time.
Your audience will be here when you get back.
And if they're not,
I can just steal y'all.
it's because that
There you go.
you're too
I don't
honest
have
and
any.
open
I have like
about
10 people, but you can take them. I give them to
Yeah,
you.
like-
Uncle Lamb style.
If you want to I'll just send people your way. I got you. I can help the little guy out. Don't
Right.
worry.
Fantastic. Jesse, it's not a little guy. We've been through that. We went through that like 5 minutes ago.
I see. You thought I was referring to your ding dong.
What's giant and doesn't work?
The man in the
I don't
ocean.
know. The Hulk? I don't know.
The man in the ocean.
Does the Hulk have a job?
Maybe.
Look, it's not about the size. It's about the motion of the man in the ocean. Okay.
Correct.
All right.
Correct.
And just because he was very big doesn't matter.
Maybe. Is this where you want me to end the show?
I was waiting for you to cut the show. Yeah.